Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
All right, good morning, everybody. You are tuned into the Bobby G and Company show. We are actually not live. We're Memorex today. We are taping this on Tuesday for broadcast on Thursday. So we're not going to be doing any weather segments or anything like that. We actually...
It's kind of an abridged show.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably see some of the stuff, that paraphernalia that's in front of us. If you know me and you've been watching the show in any duration, you know, huge fan of Star Trek. We have Vic Mignogna, who is Captain Kirk from Star Trek Continues. He'll be joining us shortly, and we're going to have an awesome interview with him, I'm sure. So I ended up digging deep into the vault of props.
I don't see any Romulan ale here.
I left. No, I do have that.
I'm really disappointed.
But I left it home because I don't want to jostle that bottle because I don't want it to go poof.
Okay.
Because that's real stuff that you got me. And yes, but I did bring just in case we got thirsty a little later some Saurian brandy. Very good.
I'll do that.
Extremely high potency. But we got to fight our way through the tribbles, and in order to get at that. We got a bunch of them around. So with that in mind, we're going to start off the show with a bang. All right, ready? Ready for the bang? Here we go. It's coming.
Oh,
it's coming.
Hold on.
There we go. All right. That was the bang. It was the earth-shattering kaboom. And so...
I'm a little underwhelmed.
Pete, which...
Underwhelmed?
Where's the kaboom?
Pete, you
there
played...
was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
I'm going to give you a kaboom.
You played the wrong intro. I just realized that. So we'll have to swap that.
What do you mean?
You played the
original.
The original. Well, you played.
You want to start over again?
No. We'll just swap it. So when Vic is going to come on, we'll play the Empire version, and because I know he's got something he wants to talk about with that anyway, so that works out perfect.
Okay.
So we'll just swap that over. So listen, we got a ton of business to get done before we bring Vic on. So National What Day? What?
Say what?
What? There's only two of them. We got, and this to me doesn't really work for me. It's National Blueberry Popsicle Day. Now keep in mind, this is for Thursday, not Tuesday when we're doing it. Yeah, not my favorite. And it's also National VJ Day, which was victory over Japan, the ending of World War II in the Pacific Theater. So that's your National What Day.
What?
Yeah, it was only those two. So today in history, we got some Connie Talbot with some yesterday.
Yesterday.
Oatmeal?
Yeah.
All my troubles seem so far away. Now
all right.
You can really tell when I meet the microphones because you got that C-130 in there.
Yeah, we got to shut that fan off.
All right.
All right. So historical events again today, September 2nd, in the year 1789.
No.
You were there.
I was not.
The United States Department of Treasury is founded. I'm pretty sure you still have the first nickel that you ever made.
That could be true.
I'm just saying. Not saying you're cheap, but you're cheap.
The date on it might be up for question.
Yeah, it's one of those wooden nickels, Pete. Yeah. Okay. The year 1859, a solar superstorm affects electrical telegraph service. That was a big deal. 1901, the Vice President of the United States, who was Theodore Roosevelt at the time, utters the famous phrase, "Speak softly and carry a big stick." And that was at the Minnesota State Fair. I thought that was pretty cool. 1935, the Labor Day hurricane of 1935 hits the Florida Keys, killing 423 people.
Wow.
Wow. 1945, World War II. Combat ends in the Pacific Theater. The Instrument of Surrender of Japan is signed by the Japanese Foreign Minister and accepted aboard the battleship USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay. Then we go, and I thought this was pretty cool, Pete. I thought you would appreciate this one.
Okay.
1963, so still before our time. Lynn, you were around.
Wow.
Hey, she's going to use that phaser on me. CBS Evening
There you know.
News becomes the first U.S. network television half-hour weeknight news broadcast. The show was lengthened from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. CBS Evening News, 1963. Now
then in the mid-1990s, it all went to pot when they got put into the entertainment divisions.
Yeah, now we can't get rid of them. All right, the year and the final one I got, 1970. NASA announces the cancellation of 2 Apollo missions to the moon, Apollo 15 and Apollo 19. That's because they found E.T. on the dark side. That's why that happened. I mean, not a lot of people know that.
No.
Okay.
Truism. All right, so that's your historical events. Let's jump into some celebrity births.
Happy birthday to you.
Cha-cha-cha.
Happy birthday to you.
Cha-cha-cha.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Cha-cha-cha.
Love you guys.
All right, Wildfire, Kay and Kel. Don't make me have them come down here and kick your butt, Lynn, because I'll do it.
Yeah, and you would want them to.
Well, they're
Yeah.
they're nice. So, celebrity births today, going back to the year 1847. Roger Walcott was born today, passed away in 1900. He was the 39th governor of Massachusetts. See, that's how deep I dig for these.
Oh, please.
I mean, it's just really deep. And I didn't realize he was this old. 1948, Terry Bradshaw was born today, the American football player, former quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now a sports analyst or analyst, depending on how you look at it. And we got also 1948, Christina McAuliffe, McAuliffe, thank you. She died in 1986, the American school teacher.
On my birthday.
And did you really? An American school teacher and astronaut died in a Challenger tragedy as a payroll specialist.
That was so sad.
Payload specialist.
That's what I said. Oh, that's what I wrote.
You said payroll.
Oh, payroll. Well, she did both.
It's a little of both.
She did both. She did the payload and she wrote the checks.
That
and
was
made sure they
so
got paid.
sad. I will never forget that day.
Yeah, me neither. I knew exactly where I was. At the time,
too.
I was working at a paper mill. And, I was cutting cores for the rolls. And
So excited for
was on
that
the radio.
mission, and boom.
yeah. The year 1950, Rosanna DeSoto was born today, the American actress. You might know her from playing Ozit Bor, the daughter of the Klingon High Chancellor Gorkon in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. 1951, Mr. Mark Harmon was born today, the American actor who currently plays Leroy Jethro Gibbs in NCIS. I haven't watched that one.
Me neither.
The
I don't
original
watch
one?
any of them.
That was
Yeah.
a spin-off from Jag.
There's too
Oh, was
many
it
of
really?
them.
Yeah, the original NCIS. That's been the original and gone all these years, but that was a spin-off from the show Jag.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yep.
We watch New Orleans, and we're in
Scott Bakula?
Yeah, we're up almost.
That
to
show's wrapped up, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's
we're
done.
we're almost all the way to the end of season 6. I know there's at least one more season left to it, but we're into that one. That was pretty good.
Our watching it, not to interrupt, but watching the TV, it's not coordinated with the audio.
No, there's a slight lag.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, knew that. All right, the year 1964. I don't think this guy needs any intro. Keanu Reeves was born today, the Canadian actor from The Matrix.
I like him.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. He's a good, talented man. And then the final one I have for you, 1966. I didn't realize she was this old. Miss Salma Hayek, the Mexican hottie.
1966. You think she's old?
Well, she's my age. I thought she was younger than me.
Oh no.
I look 55. She looks 40.
Did you ever watch those? What is it? Kill Bill movies that she made?
No,
Oh
that
my
wasn't her.
God.
It was Uma Thurman. Or unless
I
she
think
was in it
Selma
too.
Hayek was in them
Oh,
too.
Was she in it
Salma
too?
Hayek.
Yeah.
Yeah, she played one of
No?
the bad guys,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
all those
okay.
movies were really good.
No, I haven't
Yeah.
seen them. I've had
Good.
people tell me I need to watch them, that I would like them,
Yeah.
but I just never got around to it. All right, so we got a couple of celebrity deaths, only 2 of them today. Let's cue up some Undertaker. Only got 2 celebrity deaths for you today on this date. The year 1973. J.R.R. Tolkien passed away. He was born in 1892. He was a British writer and was the author of The Hobbit and Lord of the Flies. And then the last one I have for you, 2005. Everybody, I think, knows this guy, Mr. Bob Denver. He was, born in 1935. American actor. For me, best known for playing Gilligan in Gilligan's Island from 1964 to 1967. But he also played, what was it, Dobie Gillis, I think it was.
Yeah.
Before that. So, but for me, that's in your time, not mine.
Excuse me?
You know, I mean,
You're really looking for trouble today,
I'm
aren't
telling you, hey, when you're old, embrace it. All right, so that's your
Yeah,
celebrity.
I'm going to embrace your throat.
I'm telling you, I'm expecting it. So that's your Today in History, celebrity births, celebrity deaths. And you know what? We're going to start off now because we have Vic coming in for an interview. Nice. Throw to triples.
And you're probably not going to want to take any breaks.
No, what do you mean breaks? I wasn't. There's no
I'm
breaks.
losing my triples.
No, during the interview.
Oh, I got the songs, and if we use them, we use them. So let's start off with the co-host choice. You got that intro keyed up yet, Pete? There we go. This is that sinking feeling that always comes over me when I'm introing the co-host choice. So you picked a really odd song.
There's nothing odd about it.
Yes, there is.
What was odd about it?
I've never even heard of this guy.
Are you kidding me?
But this has got to be one of those tunes since Jimmy plays the harmonica.
He plays
this song.
He just started
I
playing it
knew
with
that.
Shovelhead. Yeah.
I knew that. So why don't you intro the song?
I've seen this guy at an outdoor concert in the middle of a field. It was our little, what do you call it?
I don't
where
know.
they had that big, oh my God, I can't even think anymore. But anyways, this was like a 3-day concert. I know. And it was amazing. He was the headliner, and he came out 2 or 3 times, and it was just one of the best times I've ever had as I guess you could call us kids. We weren't even 20 yet. So
Wow, he's that old?
Yeah, we slept in ditches next to the van. I mean, it was your
Folk singer Jonathan Edwards.
Jonathan Edwards, yeah.
I remember doing a show with him when I was out at Public Access in Munson.
Yeah.
So did they call that Woodstock when you were sleeping?
That's the word I'm looking for. This was our little Woodstock. It was it was an amazing experience. The guy is so talented, and he's still playing music. So if you get a chance, get on YouTube and check him out. You will not be sorry.
All right, well, who is he?
Jonathan Edwards, and this is one of my many songs that I love that he plays, but it's called Shanty.
Shanty.
Shanty, baby.
All right, so here we go. Bobby G and Company with Shanty.
Gonna sit down in the kitchen and fix me something good to eat and make my head a little high, make the whole day complete. Cause we're gonna lay around the shanty, mama, and put a good buzz on. Well, pass it to me, baby, well, pass it to me slow. We'll take time out to smile a little before you let it go. Cause we're gonna lay around the shanty, mama, and put a good buzz on. There ain't nothing to do, and there's always room for more. Fill it, light it, shut up and close the door. Cause we're gonna lay around the shanty, mama, and put a good buzz on. kitchen and fix us something good to eat and make ourselves a little high, make the whole day complete. Cause we're gonna lay around the shanty, mama, and put a good buzz on. Well, every night and day, if I can help it, we're gonna lay around the shanty, mama, and put a good buzz on.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
It's Tuesday morning from 6 till 8. Wow, it's Tuesday with Bob Plass.
Community Radio
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
All right, welcome back. I have no idea what time it is because we're taping, and for me it's 11:59.
Wasn't that a great song?
Yeah.
That was
it was.
Awesome
It was good.
song.
It was good. So, let's do up some Frankie Sinatra. Now, this is a great song. Can't believe I forgot my coffee this morning. Not that I need it. All right.
No, you're plenty pumped.
Pretty pumped today, definitely that. So this is the segment of the show that we affectionately refer to as the Keurig Facts of the Week, brought to you by the Bobby G and Company Show. 18 convenient locations, one near you. And as my co-host Lynn is fond of saying, if your boss does not have a Keurig office machine for you, beat him, flog him, shoot him with a phaser today. Feel right at home with that. If you need to borrow one, call me. And maybe just take them outside and stick them on a flagpole. And there you go. But if you are self-employed, make sure that phaser's on stun.
But if you did that, we never told you to, so.
I didn't tell you. Lynn did.
We didn't, yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Plausible deniability there.
That's right.
All right. Did you know? Here you go.
No.
I got some facts for you. You
know.
might have known some of these. This one, I thought this was kind of funny. Did you know that bears that appear in movies can actually earn about $20,000 a day?
I'm going to go buy me a costume.
Although with those llama legs, I don't think you're going to need much. Yeah, the Subaru event's coming up for you.
That's right.
And Pete, you may know this one. I did not. Did you know that when two words are combined to form a new word, such as breakfast and lunch becoming brunch, the new word is called a portmanteau. Portmanteau.
I don't believe I knew that.
Portmanteau. I did not either.
Wow, something Pete didn't know? Get out.
Hey, here's
I got to write that on my calendar.
Here's a random one for you. Did you know that it takes only about 8 seconds? And no, I'm not talking about sex life, Lynn.
No, that would be yours.
It takes about 8. Well, hey, the commercial breaks aren't as long as they used to be.
Hope told me.
Did you know that it takes only about 8 seconds to make a baseball bat in a baseball bat factory?
Really?
8 seconds.
It's probably all machine.
It is, of course it is.
It's like a quick lathe or something like that?
Yeah. That's all
Done.
it is. Big old lathe and done.
That sounds
crazy.
Never mind.
Sounds like Taco Bell after,
I was
after
just
the
going
show.
to say that.
All right,
Oh,
so
boy.
that's your. We got a big ending coming up.
Doesn't take a lot of skill.
Thank God.
An awful lot of coffee. Man, they got a gang of coffee
In Brazil.
Oh, she's singing
Wow.
again. Wow.
I got to stay awake somehow.
All right, and a Star Trek version of it. All right, so you got some horny baby. A couple of things from the tank.
But all I'm going to talk about is the tank because
All right.
it's the tank.
So we'll
What
be
can I
thankful
say?
for that.
Right. So this coming up Labor Day weekend, we got nothing. We got nothing.
We got nothing. It's a quickie.
Realistically, Labor Day weekend is usually dead as a doornail. So we have nothing scheduled as far as entertainment goes.
Although you drinking tequila at the bar can be very entertaining.
That is
Entertaining,
true.
yeah.
That is true. We'll also be closing early on Saturday night, so please keep that in mind if you decide to stop in. And if I look at September is going to be a blast. Every single weekend in September, we have something going on, whether it's Mad Music, karaoke. On September 23rd, we're going to have our second bike night, which is going to be obviously hosted by ourselves and Shovelhead again.
I was going to bring my 10-speed this time. Is that okay?
Yeah, you could.
All right,
you could
good.
put you up and back.
So I went to BMX route last time, and I kind of felt a little ostrich.
You did, huh? Yeah. So every single weekend, we got something going on. Bike night, September 23rd. And then just to put it on your calendar, October 8th, we are having our first annual Oktoberfest.
Ooh.
So all of that is still in the works. We're still trying to get different distributors to bring in their beers, and we're still working on that. But put it on your calendars. It's Friday night, October 8th. That's
you
gonna
guys
be
missed
awesome.
a Rockin' Brew Fest. We had 700 people show up.
Oh, man, I know.
Wow.
I'm
It was
sorry.
awesome. And now this week at the MGM on September 3rd, Aquanet free concert
Okay.
on the plaza. So you might want to pop out for that one.
They're good. I've seen them many times.
I used to use them back in the 80s.
Aquanet? No.
Aquanet.
At the Daily Pint out in, what's it, Northampton? Daily Pint's bougie beer and whiskey shots with the story with the storytellers. That should
could
be
be
fun.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that should be fun.
Shots of whiskey?
Yep.
All right. Well, let me add this to my my
And
list
Festa
here.
is this weekend too.
If they've got peanut
Festa.
butter whiskey, I'm in.
Okay,
Festa
I'm in.
out in Ludlow.
Have you tried
The
any?
Portuguese festival?
Pete, have you tried any of the peanut butter whiskey?
No.
Oh, it's so. Do you like peanut butter?
I like peanut butter porter beer.
Oh, then you'd like the peanut butter whiskey. There's 2 or 3 different brands. Oh my God, they're all delicious.
And if you guys do you like Moose and the High Tops? You know Moose, right?
Yes.
They're playing at the Southwick Inn on Saturday at 8 o'clock.
Oh,
Okay.
totally not related to the show, Pete. But before I forget,
Yes.
you got to talk to the owner of Moolicious.
Why? What's up?
Remember we were talking about the Southwick Parade?
Yeah.
And whether or not we were going to be in on it. He's the one putting it all together. So I spoke to Russell.
He's
Fox.
on your email list.
Yeah, but you're his buddy. He's not on my email list.
Every time I send out an email to all the hosts, he's on that list.
Oh.
Joe
Well, I figured
Didi.
I figured Joe's your buddy. I figured you could just reach out and see what he needs.
When's the parade?
That you'd have to get from Joe. I don't
I
recall.
think it's in October. Something.
Yeah, it's in October.
Oh, so
But
it's
yeah,
coming
you'd
up.
have to talk to Joe on that.
Sweet. I gotta
So
get
if
my
he-
tiara ready.
Yeah. If he wants us, we're in.
Okay.
So what else you got for horny baby?
That's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah, just
So the baby
you know,
wasn't too horny today.
any weekend in September, we got lots going on. So please come on and visit.
Come on down to the
And
tank.
it's almost apple picking time too.
I know.
Ooh, I used to-
know.
Mountain
Whoa.
Orchard. I don't
Can't
know where that is,
wait.
but this is this Saturday. Pick your own apples.
Yum.
We used to go to Adkins out. I don't
Not
know.
too
If,
still do that,
far.
I don't know if that's Amherst or not, but
Yeah,
near
that's too
to
far
it.
for me. I like
Oh, I
to go to
love
the
going
place.
there.
I like to,
The
like
donuts are the almost
Oh.
almost as good or better than Mrs. Murphy's.
Well, the thing is
At
that you get
Atkins.
that whole store there. It's not just
Right,
with
yeah.
Atkins. It's not just the apple picking.
Yeah, but check this out.
Ice cream now, meals
everything.
family meals to go.
Yeah.
Go to
Pumpkins.
Table and Vine. They now have a
Booze?
apple cider donut beer.
Okay.
Oh
all right.
my God.
We are past
That's
the
over the top.
alcohol. I mean,
Well, we're talking about donuts and,
yeah,
and
well,
cider.
donuts
and
yeah. I mean, geez.
you got to try it, Pete. It's really good.
You have to
You're
go
a
to
beer
the meetings
drinker.
across the street.
Okay. 6:24 in the AM. The
Six.
show's come unglued.
Is that what it is? 6:24. Thank you for telling me that.
I'm looking at the elapsed time. That's how I know what time it
hey,
is.
see that? You cheat. All right, so let's do up some Dark Shadows.
Because I can.
You the man.
How come you got a turtleneck on?
Yeah, where's your Star Trek shirt?
Oh, you got, what are you going to rob
what
a
are you
bank?
talking about? You don't got one either.
I couldn't
It's
find
we got to
it.
wear masks again. School's in session.
School's in session.
Yeah.
Since when?
They came back on Monday.
The kids did?
Yeah.
All right, so all that talking over my intro music, so disrespectful.
Okay, go.
All right, so listen, Dark Shadows, as you know, if you listen to this show on a regular basis, besides cracking Lynn up, hey, and you're making a triple go nuts.
Oh my God, that's so cute. Check this out. Look it.
It don't like you.
That's my nerves right now.
It don't like you. It thinks you're a Klingon, and I don't mean the alien kind.
You know, this would be.
You're like the toilet paper one.
A cool little hat.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Here's Lynn.
Nerve.
That's what she does after that.
There you go.
She puts the tribble on her head.
Is that what it is? Hey, I've got the.
Gotta do something to entertain myself.
I brought the Quadro Triticale, so in case the Tribbles get hungry.
We'll
we've
roll
got,
one up. Let's go.
We're gonna roll up a blunt. All right, we'll do some
Roll up
Emily
a
Blunt.
doogie.
Yeah, there we go.
What did they slip in yours?
I don't know. I'm only drinking seltzer water. The Tribble's going
Holy
nuts.
cow.
Tell me about it.
This is what you get when you don't have to get up at 4:30 in the morning.
I was talking to Lynn. I was talking to Lynn about 9:30 this morning, and I said to her, "I said, man, this feels weird not being up at 4:30
I
for
like
the radio show."
I think we should just tape our show every week.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We wouldn't have to get up early.
I don't think Pete would like that.
Come on, Pete.
So listen, Dark Shadows today. Pete, you'll be happy to know again, I do not need a disclaimer.
Oh, thank God.
I'm telling you, I was going to go really deep with this one. So look, this week I am very honored and happy to have a guest coming on that I have personally wanted to meet for quite a few years now. Vic Mignogna was able to literally live out a shared childhood dream and actually play on the Starship Enterprise.
Cool.
Will you quit pissing off
I
the
didn't
Tribble?
do anything.
I can't even begin to express just how much I would personally love to go to Georgia and spend a day there exploring and taking pictures.
Road trip.
Yeah, exactly. I do truly hope to do a road trip and film a show there. The little boy inside of me is just going completely crazy at even the very thought of this becoming a reality.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, I have met and hung out with many celebrities, and I'll freely admit that for me, this interview is huge. I always say that, I am nobody special when it comes to the paranormal.
That's true.
I'm just a schmuck with a really cool hobby. And that's the very same attitude that I've witnessed from all three of the actors associated with Star Trek Continues. Just really awesome people that love what they do. So shortly, Vic will be calling in, and let the fun begin. Ahead, Warp Factor 8, Mr. Coles. Engage. All right, so that's your Dark Shadows. It wasn't so dark today. I don't know how I did that.
Me neither.
So let's do exactly. Let's do the thinking outside of the box. The best song on the radio today.
Doop, boop, 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 boop.
She thinks she's M5 now.
I don't know what she thinks. But she's pissing off the Tribble again. The Tribble don't even
Calm
like
it
us.
down, woman.
All right.
Okay.
So here's the question. And Lynn, I'm going to give it to you first.
Oh, I'll bet.
All right.
All right, go ahead.
What is the most common name in the world? Okay, in the world. Is it A, Muhammad, B, John, C, Mary?
Beginning of the month.
What the frig?
What the hell?
Just started playing.
Oh, okay. So let me start again. Muhammad for A, John for B, C for Mary, and then D, Oscar Finkelstein. And I'll give you a clue. It's not Oscar.
Thank God.
Okay.
I'd be really
So,
There's your phone of. There's your
I would have to go
phone
with
of 50-50.
Yeah,
I would
there
have
you
to go with Mary.
You're going to go with
The
Mary?
most common name in the world
Common name in the world.
is Mohammed.
Mohammed, yes, you're right, Pete. Muhammad is the most common name in the world. Muslim boys are so called in honor of Muhammad, who was the founder and prophet of the Islamic religion. Most people named Muhammad live in Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Pakistan, and other Islamic countries.
It's very odd.
The Islamic religion actually spread from the Middle East south through Africa and then eastward through the India subcontinent and Southeast Asia, primarily in the 9th through 13th centuries.
So if you're in the grocery store and you yell Mohammed, 12 million people are going to turn around and go,
If
what?
you're in the Middle East, yeah.
In the Middle East, yeah.
Hey, the Taliban never made it past the 10th century, so we're doing pretty good.
Hey.
Don't get me started with that.
So there you go. There's your...
Started. Don't get
I
me
had fun with
started.
Bob Plass on Wow It's Tuesday today.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Okay.
All right, so that's your thinking outside of the box. And
Stop it.
You got to quit. Why you
I
got to
didn't
be
touch
like
her.
that? Why you got to be like
She's
that?
got a problem.
You're abusing the Tribble. Let's get PETA in here.
Oops.
All right. So
I don't think they cover tribbles.
They don't cover tribbles? Damn.
No.
All right. So listen, we got our Just for Laughs segment. Pete, how are we or close to 6?
You're dead on time.
Oh, sweet. All right.
boy.
How do you manage that? You can't do it any other time.
It's because I'm excited about the show.
Oh boy.
So listen, we got Just for Laughs. I brought back one of our favorites. This guy is just phenomenal, Mr. John Panette, and his segment.
Oh, I like him.
His segment called Water Park. This one always makes me
boy.
laugh. So Just for Laughs, Bobby G and Company with John Panette.
At the beginning of the month, water park. Now, I like to swim. Swimming is my exercise. I frolic. But there are rides at the park. Horrible nay-nay rides. The first ride we went on was the giant slide. It's like 20 stories high. And I'm looking for the elevator. There's no elevator. How do you get up there? It's $35 to get in. You should carry my ass up there. How do you get up? I'm in flip-flops and a Speedo, and I'm walking up a mountain. Thank you, my friend. Let's not visualize, just let's move on, shall we? I'm walking up this thing, and I'm a little bit afraid of heights, and I'm halfway up, I'm going, Ricola, Ricola. Heidi went by with her grandfather. I don't know how high we went. I got to the top of the slide. Was it a slide? Nay, nay. I did not slide, and I have slid. When you slide, you go, wee. This is not what happened. I went, I didn't slide. At no point did my butt touch slide. You reach around and you're not touching slide, that's a free fall. I was not issued a parachute. I'm falling and I see my family walking up. I'm yelling, it's not a slide! And I hit the water. Oh, God. Those people shouldn't have been there. I pop out of the water, I hear, where's my baby? Where's my baby? Like, I need this on my vacation. The next ride was the giant tube. Now, it was a medium tube at best. And it narrowed significantly. And I found out when I get nervous, I swell. It was a very tiny tube, not giant. I'm not too big, the tube was too small. But they shoot you right through. They have like water cannons. And you're supposed to just plop gently into the pool. I shot across the pool. You know in Free Willy when he jumps over a kid? I cleared 4. There were some tourists there from Japan. God bless them, I made their vacation. They're like, it's a Free Willy! They videotaped it for me. Yes, Free Willy. Thank you. No, we have it on videotape. I'm flying across the air. It's kind of funny. I got the soundtrack from Free Willy into it. So you see me flying, you hear that Michael Jackson song from Free Willy? Hold me like the river Jordan, and I will then say to thee, you are my friend. Now let me finish up the water park story. Because there was one more ride. It was a medium slide. I thought it would be a fun slide. My butt touched slide. But the pool that you went into was too short. And you pick up steam. Well, I hydroplaned across the pool. I went through the fence out into the parking lot. And I mean way out there. H-I-J, please God, let me stop. I crawled back up to the gate. They want me to pay to get in again. Listen, pal, I'm in a Speedo. You see a wallet anywhere? He said, I don't even see the Speedo. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure as always.
That was good. The visual was
He is
even
awesome.
funnier.
Jumping out was
Free
awesome.
Willy!
Free Willy. So we got that out of the way. We're jumping ahead here. Pete, let's do the news of the weird. Now, today's news of the weird is from Tuesday's paper, because I have psychics on my team, but I am not one of them, so I cannot do Thursday's paper yet.
Half the stuff that we read in the paper you can't make up anyways.
That is so true.
Especially in Florida.
I can tell you one of these stories is from Florida.
See? Don't
Big surprise. Would you quit with the
I
triple?
didn't touch her. She's got a problem today.
She don't like you.
That's her problem.
All right. So this won't fly. Raw chicken wings and thighs fell out of a container and onto a luggage carousel at the, Seattle airport. Video of the foul incident was shared on social media by the TSA, which asked travelers to make sure their meat is properly packaged.
I ain't going there.
And, to keep from ruffling any feathers there, yeah. Well, you two have that. She doesn't like you.
I think they need to be
All right.
separated.
You're going down there.
Wow. Wow.
She's got a nervous Nilly today.
She just doesn't like you. You've used her. All right. So something in Pennsylvania seems to have lost its head. Police in Aspinwall are looking for the owner of a taxidermy rhinoceros head found on the sidewalk.
That's funny.
He was just horny. All right. Investigators are looking into surveillance video that shows a man dumping a stuffed animal part, according to local authorities. All right. A state in Switzerland is offering 100 bottles of wine to its centenarian residents. Officials in Freiburg said they are currently gearing up to reward an inhabitant named Marie Antoinette with flowers and an offer for the load of vino when she turns 100 on November 5th. Only 2 out of the 27 centenarians celebrated last year took the offer. Just 100 bottles of wine. Hey,
That's weird.
Yeah, it's Switzerland. They have holes in their cheese, too. I mean, come on.
Oh, boy.
All right. So this is a hairy situation. A disgruntled customer returned to a Florida hair salon with a gun, only to be shot by the owner. The masked customer aimed his firearm at several patrons of the New York Hair Barbershop in Melbourne before he was wounded by the owner. Well, that's the thing. It was a New York hair shop. He figured a gun was mandatory. Police said the cut-and-dry incident wasn't a robbery attempt, but related to a prior haircut transaction and he was unhappy with, or an interaction inside the business.
Sure, come back and settle with a gun. It's never going to end well for you.
Yeah,
That's right.
All right, last one I got for you. Bank robbers in Brazil attempted to make a break for it after strapping hostages to the roofs of their car. You believe that?
Yeah.
20 armed men in 10 vehicles hit 3 banks in the city of Aracuda, whatever. And their shocking stunt was caught on surveillance footage showing people tied to the top of the vehicles. The brazen heist ended in a shootout with police that left 3 people dead, including at least 1 suspect.
Stupid should hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much covers it there. That's, stupid should hurt.
I missed that show.
You missed what show? X-Files?
Yeah.
Well, it's on reruns, You can.
Well, I already seen them all like twice.
Yeah. So.
Really?
I'd like, yeah. Even the movies, loved the whole thing. Loved it.
Okay. All right. So
I
listen,
miss it.
our next musical selection, so that we don't have to hear about the X-Files anymore.
Hey, watch it, mister.
Watch it, mister. We got the Nason connection, so we got my nephew Jeremy will introduce, and then we're going to jump right in from the intro into Dan's pick this week. He went with Dan Hartman. You ever heard of Dan Hartman?
Yeah, he had some hits in the 80s.
Yeah. Instant Replay
Wasn't
is
he
the
kind
song.
of a one-hit wonder?
I don't know. I'd never heard this song before.
I think I Can Dream About You was his big hit. Wasn't that
I knew that song, but I didn't know that was him. But Dan Hartman with Instant Replay is the song that Danny Nason chose for today.
Yeah. I Can Dream About You, Dan Hartman.
Oh, okay.
Wow, that's pretty good off the top of my head.
Really good. All right, so here we go with the Nason Connection, starting off with the intro by Jeremy Goff.
Did you ever figure out that song?
Why are there so many songs by Dan Nason? And who is this special guy? Someday you'll find it, the Nason Connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and Dan. Da 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 dee da da dum, da 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 dum, dee da roo.
Okay, I have a question.
Just one?
Just one.
Okay, that's an improvement.
When I request a disco song, I get crap. But he wants a disco song, and that's no problem. Why is that?
It's because there's a separation issue.
No.
I don't see Dan. Dan messages me.
Yeah.
So I really don't have the opportunity to give him any crap over his
Of course
choice.
you can. You can text him back and say, "Yeah, I don't think so."
I'm not going to tell him.
He brings an interesting viewpoint to the show.
Yeah, it's just something different that I never would have considered. You just have all
like what I sent him this week.
That was actually pretty cool. Your choice was pretty cool. So, but that's all it is. I mean,
we're ahead of schedule, by the way.
And I give you a lot of latitude and leeway with your musical choices. I don't think I've ever told you, no, I won't play that.
That's true. I think you even picked a country song once.
Oh, no. No.
Yes, you did.
No.
We played country on this.
Yeah, we have.
But it wasn't
But I
for
don't
me.
think it was her. I don't think it was her that chose it. But
no,
yeah,
was it Groutline?
Maybe, I don't know. But
Probably.
I've definitely begrudgingly played country.
Yeah.
And
hear that.
yeah.
Okay.
So
that's all.
But yeah, if that's all good. All right, fine. Hey, Pete.
For Christ's sakes.
Do we have the crying towel still in the office? We're gonna need it out here.
You're gonna need it. You keep it up, Mister.
Hey,
believe it or not, it's only 48 past the hour. We're 10 minutes ahead of schedule.
Okay, nice.
Well, take a
So
nap.
you had this. You had your Brewfest thing this weekend.
Yes.
I also had a huge family event this weekend, which was why I could not attend.
Right. How was it?
My son and his girlfriend
We'll be having a
boy.
They had a gender reveal party. So the running gag is that my son's 31. Stop and think on that one. And the running gag was that, I think he's still a boy. It's a gender reveal. He's a boy. So what they did was they put a wall of balloons, and one of the balloons had powder, either obviously blue or pink, and you took a dart and you threw it.
Oh, that's cute.
And when your balloon popped, you knew. So that was pretty cool. They had all the the littler kids were playing with sharp objects. We broke out the lawn.
They're going to be
darts.
great parents.
Yeah, where are the lawn darts?
Yeah, we broke out the lawn darts. Yeah, that was an awesome game. I mean, if you were an idiot and you didn't know how to
Danny
play
Knappich said you used to throw him over the house.
stupid should hurt.
And
I mean, that's what it
make
boils
sure
down
nobody
to.
was on the other side.
Yeah, well, you did that when it was landing. If you heard him, whoops, I shouldn't have thrown that way. So the balloon burst, and it was blue.
I knew it. I knew he was going to have a boy.
Having raised
for him.
one boy and 3 girls, I can tell you a boy is a whole lot easier. Women are evil, even at young ages.
You're gonna get in big trouble for that.
No, it's true.
Wait, you don't have any
You
grandsons,
get
right?
get what?
You don't have any. Oh, you have Noah. Noah's the only grandson?
Yeah, well, Noah, and then just Noah.
Okay.
But here's the thing. You get 2 boys in school, they have a misunderstanding or a little brouhaha and a slugfest, it's over in 5 minutes and they're back to playing together.
Not
in the
anymore.
sandbox.
There's microaggression training. There's counseling.
Lynn's the Subaru one.
I'm telling you, that's
I'm not
the reality.
Subaru one.
That's the reality of the situation nowadays.
I was going to say you beat the crap out of each other and then
it's
that
over.
used to be how it was.
Go home.
But the girls, on the other hand, you women are evil. You guys have psychological warfare for literally 6 months.
True.
So it is much easier to deal with a boy than it is a girl. So I was actually wishing a girl on him. But he got a boy. And the only thing I knew was that he was not going to name it Robert Paul because he's junior to my senior, and he didn't want a third. So I knew he wasn't going to do that. And I'm perfectly fine with that. That's his decision.
Yeah.
So what they decided on for a boy's name, and this is where it sits right now. I guess this is, as always, subject to change. But they're going to name him Bennett Robert.
So you still get the Bobby in there?
Ben.
So Benny Bobby. Kind of sounds like
it.
And
like
so they're all excited about it. They had a great time. He
cool.
made Pete a 14-pound brisket in his smoker.
Oh, wow.
That is literally only the second time in my life I've had brisket.
I smoked a pork belly last week, and it was so good.
Oh my God, this was phenomenal. He started it like the night before. It took him like 18 hours.
Yeah, it takes like 18. It depends on the poundage.
Yeah, 14 pounds, and he had the alarm set for 4:00 in the morning.
Yep.
To get up, and it's a pellet smoker.
Yep. To reload the pellets.
And so he had to check it, and all that good stuff. So we ended up, almost half the people, if not more, left by the time he had the brisket done. And I guess it needs an internal temperature at 200 degrees.
Yeah, something
so
like that.
He was waiting on that, and it was slowly getting up. But people were, people just, okay, we're done. We had the reveal. We had some cheeseburgers. We had some hot dogs, and all that good crap. And now it's time to go.
Did you remember for your friend Peter?
There was nothing left.
14 pounds?
14 pounds ended up getting sliced up.
That's a lot of meat.
I get that a lot.
Oh,
in
please.
2 containers. And it was like, wow. You'd swear these people had never eaten before, and I was one of them. I got 2 plates of that. And, oh, my God, it was just so tender. It melted in your mouth.
Wow.
And that's literally only the second time I've ever had brisket. My daughter Katie made some
I love brisket.
years ago.
I've never had it.
And
good Texas barbecue, baby. I'm all in.
It was just, all he did was a rub, too. He didn't even put any sauce on it or nothing.
Yeah, just salt. Really,
And
if you do Texas-style brisket, it's literally just salt and pepper.
No, there was a special, Katie's a chef. She's actually a certified chef, whatever the hell you call it. And she knew what he did. And she's like, oh, you use this. And he's like, yeah, it's exactly what I did. Apparently, there's some seasoning packet rub that they use, and it's got all the spices mixed.
Yeah, there's different kinds, yeah.
And so that's what he used, and oh, my God, it was phenomenal. That is the only way to put it. It was phenomenal.
Very cool.
I must have had at least 5 pounds of that brisket myself. I was pushing people. It was like a hockey game. I was checking them into the boards to get at that table.
Oh, God.
But what an awesome time. So this coming Sunday, we got some family coming over for Labor Day for a little barbecue picnic. Now, Pete, I had mentioned to you, and you knew about this. I got a flat griddle. Gas griddle for Father's Day. My wife got it for me. I love it. Did I tell you about the breakfast endeavor?
No.
We made, now my youngest stepdaughter, Jody, I say stepdaughter, but she's my daughter, and so is Katie. My youngest, Jody, came over. Now she's gluten, big time allergies. So she was over at the house a couple of weeks ago, and one thing she can eat is breakfast. So I said to Hope, I said, I can do anything on this griddle. I said, why don't I make breakfast for us for dinner? So I took 2 pounds of real bacon, not this the stuff that we usually get is the microwave. It's already cooked.
Yeah, I cooked the real deal.
I took 2 pounds of regular bacon. It took me an hour to get it cooked the way I wanted it. Did that on the griddle. Then I broke out the corned beef hash, had that going on the griddle. I made scrambled eggs because there's no way I'm going to be playing with over easies or anything like that. So I made literally a dozen scrambled eggs. And then I was thinking about it. I'm like, you go to these breakfast restaurant things, not McDonald's, a real breakfast restaurant. And they always take the English muffin or the water roll or whatever, and they butter the inside and they put it on the grill.
Way to cook
I did that with English muffins. And I've got 2 of those weighted presses.
Yep.
So I put, those on it. And, oh, my God, it took me 2 hours to make breakfast. But I have never had breakfast anywhere that tasted this damn good. And so we loved it. So then I ended up, knowing about this party that we're having this weekend, I ordered a cooler. Big cooler. It's on wheels, holds 80 cans. And so that came in. And got that put together. So bought a cover for that, got a cover for my griddle, and now I got to head over to Home Depot either today or tomorrow and pick up the gas grill. So I'm going to have the gas grill going, the griddle going, the beer and wine and soda will be in this cooler. Oh, it was awesome. No, it wasn't that bad. The gas grill, $100 on clearance.
Yeah, that's inexpensive for sure.
It's only a 2-burner, but I don't need a big one. And it's the thing I wanted was the side burner.
Mm-hmm.
that you can do a pot of corn or whatever. And that's it. I mean, I've got the griddle, so it's going to be a combo deal. So I figure we're going to do burgers, dogs, brats. I'm going to do kielbasa, and we're going to get chicken and steak kebabs and have that all going throughout the day. Okay, here we go. We're going to fire up the kebabs and get those going. Okay, we're going to do burgers and dogs, get that going. And just, not all at once, but kind of like throughout. I'm looking forward to it. And, Hope's laughing at me because she's like, I literally have an outdoor kitchen now. And she just thinks that's the coolest.
It's fun.
She thinks that's the coolest
Okay, Guy
thing.
Fieri.
I know it, really. I mean,
you'll find that
I'm going to have to
gas
start.
grill.
Hey, I've already got the white hair. I'm going to have to start spiking it. And
you're going to find that you're going to use your gas grill less and less because the flat top is so much easier. And
I love it.
Tastes so good. Yeah.
I love it. I've used it. I've only used it twice so far. I did Hamburg steaks on it, and then I did the breakfast. And my God,
I love it.
I do. I'm enjoying the hell out of that. So listen, let's jump into Pete's Pick. I got to be careful how I say that. I don't want to.
6:57 in the morning.
Hey, I'm like 3 minutes
no wonder
early.
I'm tired.
You can't beat this, huh? All right, so Pete's Pick. All right, this is sacrilege. Playing Star Wars on a Star Trek show. But anyway.
You picked the theme song.
I did. That's why I'm laughing at it. So what did you pick for your Pete's Pick of the week?
I wanted to do a David Bowie tune, but I saw there was already one on the list. I didn't even know that when you
That's okay.
picked.
We didn't have this one.
But I wanted to do something space-related because, this is what we're doing this week. So I went with a video for Starman, SpaceX's Starman, which is currently orbiting in Elon Musk's Tesla around the sun.
Okay.
So it's
so this is a video.
It's David Bowie's Starman, set to a whole animation and sequence from that launch.
He gets a video. I never got a video.
Well, that's because I like him more. All right, so Pete's
I'm going to
Pick.
start.
Coming at you with the SpaceX video with David Bowie and Starman. You're listening to Bobby G and Company right here at
Going on
WSKB,
strike.
and Lynn's still crying.
I'm going on strike.
Didn't know what time it was, the lights were low. Oh, oh, I leaned back on my radio. Oh, oh, some cat was laying down some rock and roll. Let us tell. Then the loud sound it seemed to fade. Came back like a slow voice on a wave of bass. Where no DJ that was playing. I said 5, 4, 'cause he knows it's always what he told me. Let the
That is a cool video, no doubt. You know,
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You know, they actually got that idea from the movie Heavy Metal, right?
What? The song?
No, the car.
No, actually, it wasn't. It was a contest on Twitter.
But that had to be where that came from, because that is almost exactly the opening of the movie Heavy Metal.
Well, maybe the edit was. Maybe that's where the person editing the video came up with it. But Elon Musk had a contest on Twitter and said, "Listen, we can't launch a commercial payload because there's a test flight. It was the original test flight. Come up with something that we can launch, on the rocket."
Yep.
And this girl, Evelyn Janidi, she lives in southern Texas, said, "Why don't you launch your cherry red Tesla?"
I know Evelyn. She's a big fan of Heavy Metal.
She's a kid. She probably doesn't even know what it is. She's in her 20s.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Elon Musk replied to her and said, "That's a great idea."
There you go.
And so they launched that as a payload mass simulator, and Starman was the first test of their new spacesuit that the astronauts wear. You saw them wearing in the Demo 2 mission and all that. It was the first in-space test of that spacesuit.
That's cool.
And they got a lot of data, see if it leak-proof.
How many miles, miles to the gallon?
Leak-proof. Yeah, so somebody did the calculations on that, how much the Tesla Roadster gets for miles per gallon or something like that. And there's a couple of websites that have that all figured out. And then they plotted out the orbit, and you can, if you, where is Starman now or something like that, and it's a website, you can Google it, and it'll tell you exactly where the Roadster and Starman are in the relationship on their orbit around the sun.
Huh.
So he didn't get his car back?
No.
Oh, no, it's going to be in orbit around the sun for millions of years.
Get out.
Imagine E.T. finding that. What the hell is this?
Yeah, imagine passing by that on the way.
Yeah.
Coming in going, what the heck was that?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So listen, I want to keep ahead of the game so that when Vic does call in, we can smoothly transition. So we're going to jump into Hope's Catch of the Week. And I keep putting Catch of the Day, but it actually should be Catch of the Week. And so we've got the intro for that, and then her song. And then we're going to come back and banter a little bit, and hopefully be joined very shortly by Mr. Vic Mignogna and Captain Kirk from Star Trek Continue. So here's Hope's Catch of the Week. All right, even in a musically abbreviated show such as this week's, I still had to keep Hope's Catch of the Week. Scully's not too happy about it, but that's on him. So, Arn, what did you pick this week?
I chose Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi.
Okay, any special reason or thoughts or what?
Well, the other day I was just thinking about my days of working at the car auctions, and this song came to mind, and I've always liked it.
Yeah, it is a good tune, no doubt, yeah. So, all right, then with that, let's jump into Hope's Catch of the Week, as we got our toes in the sand, and we got it made, and margaritas, and all that good stuff. And you are listening to Bobby G and Company right here in WSKB 89.5. Oh, all right, mics are back on. That was Bon Jovi with "Living on a Prayer" for Hope's Catch of the Week. So we have our guest is all set up, Pete.
I'm working on. I got to get him positioned in the box properly. We can go to him.
All right,
we can go to him while I'm doing it. I guess.
You want to do the intro music for the segment?
Sure.
Let's do that up.
Space, the final conquest. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission: to discover and subjugate strange new worlds, to advance our dominion and vanquish all who stand against us, to conquer the galaxy for the glory of the Empire.
All right. Well, now, Vic, this is going to be playing at 7:30 in the morning, so I'm going to say good morning to you.
Good morning to you. I'm sorry I don't look very nice. I just finished a doubleheader softball game.
Hey, that's okay. I'm just happy to have you on, man.
I'm honored to be here.
That's incredible for me. So we ended up playing the Empire version of the theme for you coming in here.
Yes, I love that.
And
I love it.
We ended up doing that. It was actually accidental, but I'm glad that we did, because when you and I spoke yesterday on the phone for about a half hour, I mean, that was awesome. But you shared with me that you actually wrote that version
yes.
for the episode.
Yeah, the mirror episode, our third episode, which was Fairest of Them All.
Yep.
Which is kind of neat because it's another stanza off of Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, who's the fairest of them all. And
I never noticed that. Okay.
Yeah, that's why we titled it that way. And I had gone to James Kerwin with the basic story idea.
Yeah.
I want to do an episode that picks up right where Mirror Kirk and his landing party go back to the Mirror Enterprise and what Spock does, as far as the challenge that Kirk gave him to make a difference in the Terran Empire.
Yeah.
And so James said, I will write the script based on your story if you'll let me direct it. And I was like, sure. And he did a killer job directing it.
Yes, he did.
We shot the episode. I edited the episode. And as we were doing the sound design and music, at that point, I chose, we didn't even have a composer yet. Our original composer didn't join us until episode 4.
Okay.
So for episode 3, it was still all original Star Trek music, but I did all of the choosing and editing of the music to match the scenes. And I was getting ready to put the opening theme in there. And my first thought was, I should do something with the music where maybe it has like a snare drum cadence to it, or gongs, or something that gives it more of a tribal, militaristic feel to the original theme. And so I did that.
Yeah.
And then I thought, now wait a minute. If this is taking place in the Mirror universe, then the 5-year mission is not going to be to seek out and explore strange new worlds and seek out new life. So I wrote that whole new opening, as Mirror Kirk saying, this is our mission, to seek out and subjugate strange new worlds and space, the final conquest instead of the final frontier.
It worked perfectly.
Yeah, which made absolutely complete 100% sense for that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I said this to you yesterday when we were talking on the phone, and I truly don't know a higher compliment that I could pay you. But for me, as a diehard Trek fan, and my wife will tell you, when we, hopefully I'm going to meet you when you're out in Eastern Mass.
I hope so too.
My wife can tell you, when it comes to Trek, I am detail-oriented beyond belief. And I can say to you, you created additional canon. And for those of you that don't know what that means, this is true to Trek. This is something that I believe that had the series gone an extra season or two, this is the quality that we would have seen from season 4 and 5, the original series.
I'm very grateful for that. And I want to say that a lot of people worked very, very hard to make that happen.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's obvious. But
I mean, we could spend the whole day talking about everybody that was a part of this. And when you talk about fan productions, you'll find that most of them, if they're even able to do more than 1 or 2 episodes, they usually have a lot of attrition.
Yep.
Because when you're asking people to do something for nothing, you're not able to pay them. You can't promise them all kinds of grandiose things. Usually they'll do it once out of the goodness of their heart.
Yep.
But they won't do it a second or a third or a fourth time, much less 11 times.
Yeah, I was going to say much less 11.
Vic, welcome to my world in public access, man, because it's hard getting people to work a football game that they go to school at.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So I was incredibly grateful that, with very, very, very few exceptions, we had the same 35 or 40 people every time we got together to shoot an episode. And I think it shows on screen, actually.
Oh, it definitely does. There's so many little details that you guys thought of that I don't think even myself as a fan, it never would have occurred to me, such as the filming style mimicking the 60s rather, as opposed to going with more, the high def technology that we use today in cinematography. Right. I mean, you made it look like Star Trek.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that. And by the way, that was not an accident. Those of you that don't know, we one of the last things we would do in post-production after the episode was completely finished, sound design, mix was all put in, it was all done. The last step was that we would put film grain over top of the video, and then we would blur it a little bit because it was actually too crisp and too sharp for the original series look. So we actually, if you could dare use the word degrade, we actually degraded the image a little bit just to make it look more like the 60s.
You did an awesome job with it, no doubt. Now, I don't know if I read this or if I heard this, and I don't know if this is true. Correct me on this. But you actually got a hold of the original blueprints for the sets and reconstructed them based on those blueprints. But I also heard that you actually were able to find the original molds for the buttons. Was that true? Or
no, I don't know about the mold thing. I can tell you this: the original soundstage layout is online.
Okay.
You can find it, but here's the caveat: there are no numbers. In other words, what's the diameter of the transporter platform?
Oh.
How wide is the corridor?
Gotcha.
What's the distance from one wall to the other in the briefing room? It's all laid out, but there are no numbers.
Oh.
Here's where the beauty of our director of photography came in. Matt Busey, our director of photography, has a degree in architecture as well.
Oh, wow.
And what Matt was able to do was he was able to find a few common measurements.
Okay.
For instance, if you're able to identify, I'll give you a perfect example. We know that the transporter pads that they stood on were Fresnel movie lenses.
Okay.
They were a certain movie lens, and they were 18 inches in diameter.
Okay.
So if you know that the pad they stand on is 18 inches in diameter, you can extrapolate from that common measurement how big the whole transporter platform is, how big the whole room is. And if you know that they used 4x8 sheets of plywood going down the corridor, which they obviously did, then you're able to figure out the length, the angle, all of the dimensions. So I would dare say our sets are within inches of the original series sets.
You guys did a phenomenal job. I mean, when I watched the first episode, now I found you guys through your website, and I want to say you had just put out your third episode. So I was in a prime position. I was able to sit down and watch three of them back to back to back. And I want to talk to you about the first episode that you guys did. It's called Pilgrim of Eternity. Now, you actually bankrolled that entirely out of your own pocket. You hadn't had any fan involvement in it at that point in time. You were living a childhood dream.
That is correct. I did the lion's share of the financial burden, but I also got a lot of help from Stephen Dengler, whose name you'll recognize. He was the other co-executive producer.
Okay.
Right underneath me, and he and I met on another fan project, and we went to dinner in Toronto. I was up there signing autographs for the Fan Expo in Toronto, and he and I had met previously on a fan production, and so we had dinner, and I told him about my idea with Star Trek Continues, and he's like, "Oh, I love the original series," and he actually contributed money to getting it off the ground as well. Because if you think about it, for the first episode, you have to build the sets.
Yeah.
You have to rent a building, then build the sets, then fly everybody down, put them in hotels, feed them. So the first episode actually had a lot more expenditures than any of the others, because once you have the sets built, for the most part, you only may have to build like one special set for an episode. But the first episode had a lot of expenditures that the others didn't. But yeah, it was, in my mind, it didn't seem right to launch a crowdfunding campaign for something and ask people to give me money for something that they had no idea whether I could do or not.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And I felt very strongly about that. So I felt like this was a perfect put your money where your mouth is moment.
Yep.
And we made the first episode. Here's a fun fact for you. Who Mourns for Adonais, which was the original episode that Apollo was in.
Yep.
That's a line from a poem. And Pilgrim of Eternity is a line from the same poem.
Oh, wow.
So our episode, the title, was actually pulled from the same poem as the original episode that Apollo was in.
That's pretty neat. Now, you mentioned Steve Dengler. I liked how you actually brought him in as a recurring character. He
wanted to be a part of it, and I loved him. He's such a great guy.
I mean, he fit that part. He fit that part because he's big.
Yes.
And he's security chief. I mean, he was perfectly cast for that role. Regardless of what he did behind the scenes, he was perfect to play Drake.
Yes, he was.
And he was a recurring character, which I thought was really cool. And I'm not going to give any spoilers away for episodes 10 and 11. You got to see them. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to talk.
God.
We're going to talk a little bit.
I was going to say something about that, but you're right. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to. Let me just say this: that Stephen came to me when we first got the first draft of episodes 10 and 11 from Rob Sawyer, who wrote them. And he called me immediately, and he's like, "I have a problem with Drake in this episode." And I said, "You know what? I agree with you. We're gonna make more of Drake in this episode," and we did. So.
Yes, yeah. He had a great part in the whole series, but yeah, he definitely shined very brightly in those last ones. Yeah. So I mean, but Pilgrim of Eternity, again, that's your premiere episode. You were able to bring Michael Forrest back, who played Apollo in the original series. He came back and reprised his character. And one thing that you and I, we hit on this yesterday on the phone, there's a lot of little Easter eggs in each one of these episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Jamie Bamber, who played Apollo in the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, has a small part of Simone. He's out on the hull with Sulu, clearing off crap that stuck to it. And, so we got a second Apollo. And then, like you pointed out, when Michael Forrest is actually sitting in sickbay, he's looking at the viewer watching one of the Apollo launches. Yeah. So, I mean, there was a lot of reoccurring little tidbits in there.
Yes, and I love that little exchange where he said, I'm pleased to see that I was remembered. And he turns the viewer around and Kirk says, Yeah, you were remembered, but not as a god.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
It was an awesome episode. I think that it really, considering that everybody was new to the project, and it's like any other thing. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get in your own skin. But you guys did not come off as being awkward. You all knew the characters, with the exception of the ones that you created, which they had to feel out their own parts.
Right.
But you had, you knew Bill Shatner's Kirk. Todd knew Leonard Nimoy's Spock. At that point in time, you had Larry Nemechek was playing McCoy.
Well, he was playing. A lot of people don't know this, Bobby.
What's that?
Chuck Huber was always supposed to be the original McCoy.
I was going to ask you about that.
If you go back and look at our vignettes, go back and look at the 3 vignettes that we created before we ever released the first episode.
Okay.
And Chuck Huber is Dr. McCoy.
So how come
he was always going to be my Dr. McCoy? What happened was that just like a few weeks before we were supposed to shoot, Chuck had a family emergency.
Oh.
And he called me and he said, I was looking so forward to doing this, and I hate to do this to you, but I've got something in my family that's got to take my attention. And so I of course I understood that.
Yeah.
And I started panicking, and I thought, wow, we can't even get one episode shot, and we're already losing people. And I had met Larry at an event a short time earlier, and he said something to me that I never forgot. He said, I love McCoy the way you loved Kirk.
Oh, wow.
When I was a little boy, McCoy was my guy, the same way that Kirk was your guy. And so I remembered that, and I reached out to Larry, and he graciously agreed to play McCoy in our first episode. And then in our second episode, Chuck Huber came back to me in the midst of the episode and said, crisis averted. Everything's okay now, and I really, really want to do this if you'll have me.
Cool.
So I want to give big major props to Larry Nemechek.
They were both awesome in the part.
Because Larry could have, when I called Larry and said, look, we love you. You're part of our family, and you will always be. But Chuck was always meant to be McCoy. And if it's okay with you, I'd like you to stay on as a creative consultant, because nobody knows more about Star Trek than Larry Nemechek does.
Yeah.
So he graciously stayed on, and every episode, Larry came down and hung out with the cast and crew and shot videos, and he was part of the family the whole way through. And whenever we had a tech question, we would go to Larry.
That's awesome.
That's incredibly gracious of him, actually.
Yes, incredibly gracious.
That's a team player. Definitely.
Yes, there are a lot of people out there, they'd get all hurt and mad about that. And well, and then they would even get online and talk garbage about you because their feelings were hurt.
Yeah.
But no, he is a quality human being.
Yeah, professional through and through. Nice. Now, here's the thing. And again, I mentioned this to you yesterday. Pilgrim of Eternity comes out, and it was obviously successful. So now the mindset goes to episode 2. So we brought Michael Forrest in on episode 1. You got Jamie Bamber in, and where are you going to go? How are you going to up this ante? So what do? You bring in the Incredible Hulk, you respray paint the guy gray, and then just for kicks, you drop kick the guy.
Well, let me tell you about our second episode.
And that was Lolani for a name for the audience.
Lolani, yes. It was about an Orion slave girl who stows away on the Enterprise, and she's seeking asylum from the sex trafficking trade. So it was a very topical episode.
Mm-hmm.
But what a lot of people don't know is the original draft of the story did not have Lou Ferrigno's character in it.
Really?
I had done a Comic-Con with Lou. Louie and I became good friends from doing a lot of Comic-Cons together. And I told him about our series. And he said to me, man, when I was a little boy, I loved Star Trek. If there's ever anything I can do if you ever have a role for me, let me know. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, dude, you're 6'6", 290 pounds. What character could he possibly play, right? So this was like when we were still working on our first episode.
Yep.
So then we have some people writing the second episode. And I remembered what Lou had said, and I don't remember who it was. I don't know if it was my idea. I don't want to take credit if it wasn't, but somebody came up with the idea of adding a character who was the slave trader's owner, or he was the slave trader.
Yeah.
He was Lolani's owner. He sold her to the Tellarites. She was his property, and he comes out to claim his property and all the dynamics of that. And I thought, oh my gosh, Lou would be perfect for that because he's so big and menacing.
Yeah.
And Orions are green. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is the perfect thing. And he agreed to do it. He said, don't make me look like the Hulk. And I said, oh, you're not going to look anything like the Hulk. We're going to make you bald, and you're going to have this really cool goatee with this like long Fu Manchu mustache with beads at the bottom of it and stuff. And
wow.
That was phenomenal. That was actually, if you were to ask me what my favorite of the 11 episodes were, I would have a real hard time. But I'm going to cover that because there wasn't one of the 11 that I can look at and say, oh, this one sucked. You can look at the original series. You got 78 to choose from. Some of them are popular. Some of them, yeah, okay. The 11 that you guys did, no. I could watch.
Well, you know what? And to be fair, they had to crank out one every week.
Yeah, you guys had more time.
I've seen some documentaries where they're like, what are we going to do now? We're out of scripts.
Yeah. Well, when I started this show, before we ever shot one frame, I told the core team of people that were involved, anybody can build sets and anybody can fire phasers and flip open communicators, but that's not what Star Trek is about. Star Trek was about storytelling.
Yeah.
It was about the themes and the human condition and ethical questions and social issues. So from the very beginning, my goal, and anyone that was a part of it will tell you, was story, story, story.
Yeah.
It was going to have to be a good story. And when we set the bar that high, you suddenly are like, oh my gosh, you're getting all these script submissions, and none of them are, they're all Captain Kirk beams down to the planet and he fights the Klingons. I'm like, nope. It's got to be topical. It's got to have that Star Trek message.
Yeah.
It's got to have a theme to it.
You definitely hit that right in the bullseye.
So we worked really hard to make the 11 that we made all have a point.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a question for you because I saw this in the IMDb. I was just looking at all the credits and all that stuff. We have a college locally, Hampshire College, that one of its famous alums is one of your cast members, and it's an uncredited cast member. What was it like having Rod on the set?
Oh my gosh!
He's local college guy. He went to Hampshire College up here, just up the street.
Well, you know what? Rod is not only an awesome human being, but he reached out to us and said, my dad would consider this canon. And I do consider it canon. I think these episodes are as good and in some cases better than the originals. And then I said, listen, we would love for you to come down and take a tour of our sets. And he said, well, can I be a red shirt?
We're all talking about Rod Roddenberry.
Yeah, I was going to clarify that myself.
Yeah.
Yes, I should have clarified that. And so he came down for our 6th episode and was on the bridge and handed me a data tape on the bridge. And then we actually cut some close-ups of him in on later on as well. But it was an incredible privilege, not only to have him on set, but every chance he got, he was telling people, check out Star Trek Continues because this is as good as it's been done since the original series. So we're incredibly grateful,
That's
not only
awesome.
for his friendship, but his endorsement.
Well, then on top of that, I mean, getting Chris Doohan to come back or to come in and play his dad. You know, I mean, Jimmy Doohan, as everybody probably knows, was the original Scotty. Chris Doohan is his son. He plays Scotty in Star Trek Continues. And here's a little bit, and I know you know this, Vic, but he actually had a cameo appearance in Star Trek, what was it, Into Darkness. He was the transporter operator on J.J. Abrams.
He was in the first two.
He was in both of them.
Yeah, he sat beside Simon. He sat right beside Simon Pegg in the transporter room. But Chris is such an awesome guy. And let me tell you about Chris. Chris works in the medical field.
Okay.
He's very accomplished in the medical industry. And I reached out to him on Facebook. And he said, well, you know, I'm not an actor. And I said, well, you know what? I would love for you to play this role. So he came down and he played Scotty in the vignettes and in our first episode. And would you believe that when the episode was over, Chris called me and he said, I don't know if I did good or not, but I just want you to know that if you want to replace me, I totally understand. If I didn't do a good enough job, I totally understand. And I was like, are you kidding, dude? Like, it's in your blood.
Yeah.
Like you were perfect and not a chance are we replacing you. And he did such a phenomenal job. I'll never forget when he and I were standing in the turbo lift, waiting for the doors to open to walk out onto the bridge for the very first shot of the very first episode. And we looked at each other, and there was this moment where we're looking at each other thinking, oh my gosh, are we really doing this? I mean, I have loved Bill Shatner and Star Trek since I was 9 years old. And suddenly here it is 4 decades later, four decades plus later, and I am trying to play this character that I had such enormous love for. And Chris looked at me and he's like, I'm doing exactly what my dad did 50 years ago. And the door opened and I walked around to the captain's chair and he walked over to engineering, just like, you know, his dad did. And it was such a profound moment. Such a profound moment.
That is incredible. No doubt.
Wow.
But there's, you know, then coming into like Ferrisville Mall, we talked about that briefly. That's the mirror image, the mirror universe episode. Another, and I did not know this one until I actually was putting together my sheet for this interview. Bobby Clark, who plays the
Gorn.
In the original series, he was the Gorn in Arena. And he's the name of the planet's eluding me, but he's the Hulkins. Thank you. He's the Hulkin leader in this episode. So, and he looked like the original actor from that part too.
Well, yeah, we actually, myself and Lisa Hansel, our makeup supervisor, actually went out to Bobby's house. He actually lives out by Vasquez Rocks, ironically.
Oh, no kidding.
And we went out to his house and we had reference photos and she did a great job making him look, you know, just as much like the original guy as possible. And our wardrobe supervisor, Ginger Holly, made this tunic that looked like the tunic that the Hulkin council leader was wearing in the original episode. And we shot him against a green screen. And it was really, again, just such a fun little Easter egg to have Bobby Clark in the episode.
Yeah, that was, you know, I didn't even know that until I was researching this. I was like, oh, man, you got to be kidding me.
And you know what? I want to say something about our mirror episode before we move on to the others. Not only did James Kerwin do the most masterful job directing that episode, but for me, it was really fun to play Mirror Kirk because you have very, very little reference on Mirror Kirk. Everybody knows Prime Universe Kirk.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how he acts, how he treats people. But there was only the one scene in Mirror Mirror when they were dragging the evil Kirk to the brig, and he's, fighting him, and I order you, let me go. And he's like, Spock, I'm going to hang you up by your Vulcan ears. And, that's all you saw of him. So it was especially fun for me to flesh out the evil Kirk a little more. And he wouldn't just be angry and vicious all the time. He would also be plotting.
Yeah, calculating. Yeah.
And conniving and calculating. So it was a lot of fun to get to play a side of Kirk that was not explored that much in the original series.
Now, at the end of that episode, you actually utilized the shuttlecraft prop. Wasn't that the original shuttlecraft restored?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And you know what? I got to tell you, I saw so much divine providence in our series. I hope I don't offend anybody in today's culture by saying that, but that's how I feel, and so I'm going to say it. I saw so much divine providence in our show. People that came to work on the project that were so perfect for it, and then serendipitous things like that, where we had this scene already written into the script where they put Kirk and those loyal to him on a shuttlecraft and launch them off the ship, kind of like Mutiny on the Bounty, right?
Yeah.
But we had the scene written, but we didn't have a shuttlecraft. We were going to have to shoot the whole thing on green screen. And while we were contemplating shooting the whole thing on green screen, as Providence would have it, a man named Adam Schneider was friends with Dave Arland and Will Smith, who both worked on our production. And Adam Schneider called us and said, hey, I don't know. He didn't even know the story. He knew nothing about any scripts we were producing.
Yeah.
Out of the blue, he called them and said, I own the original shuttlecraft. I bought it at auction and I had it restored, and it is on display at Space Center Houston. And if you guys ever need to use it for any reason, let me know. And we were like, oh my goodness, thank you, Lord in heaven, because here we had this script that we were about to shoot that took place in the hangar deck. And so we contacted friends of mine in Houston and got this huge, like 30-foot by 50-foot green screen.
Yeah.
And wrapped it around the shuttlecraft and shot that scene with the original shuttlecraft.
That was awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, that is just so cool. The other thing I wanted to mention from that episode, you actually brought in a new recurring character, that of Smith, who was Kipley Brown. Now, what's kind of interesting here is that did you ever meet Kipley's husband?
Yes, Emo. Emo's awesome.
Emo Phillips is, for the audience, he's a comedian, very dry sense of humor, very dry presentation. I saw him back in the 80s at a local Chinese place that's no longer here, and he was one of my favorite comedians forever. My daughter now works for Funny Bones. She's one of the assistant managers, and this is a nationwide organization thing. They've got places all over the country. And I was telling her, I says, listen, I said, I met Michelle, I met Kim, I want to meet Kipley. Get Emo into the Funny Bones because I want to meet Kipley. So she's laughing. She's like, okay. Because when we had Scaricon, and this is really for me what started my my love affair with Star Trek Continues, it made it personal, was that I actually reached out to Michelle hoping to get you and her for the Scaricon horror movie convention.
Right.
What I did was the promoter had all kinds of main actors from all over, the horror genre. And I said to him, I'm like, I said, this makes no sense. I said, everybody you have here, you're targeting a 17 and an 18-year-old audience. They don't have a pot to piss in yet. You have no money there. I said, add science fiction to it, and now all of a sudden your target demographic is 30s, 40s plus. Now they have the money. So it became a bet. He had Tony Todd, Sid Haig, and Kane Hodder were his three big for that year's Scaricon. I convinced him to bring in two of the cast members, and it ended up being Michelle and Kim. And I was in charge of transportation for the celebrities all weekend, as well as running all of the volunteers. And so I was very hands-on with everybody. I can tell you, and I was laughing at this with the promoter, their line for Michelle and Kim was never less than the combined line for the three bigs that he brought in.
Wow, really?
And it was just like, once it was advertised that you guys were going to be in Springfield, Massachusetts, all of a sudden New England became interested in this event. And I mean,
thank you, by the way, Bobby, for thinking of that.
Well, it was very, very selfish on my part, and I'm going to admit that. I wasn't doing it to promote Star Trek Continues. I was doing it because I wanted to meet you guys.
Oh no, that's
I
fine.
was very selfish with that. But it was awesome. And I was just gonna say something else too. Damn it, I got sidetracked. It'll come to me. When we get our age, we kind of lose the train.
Oh, you were talking about Kipley. You were talking about wanting to meet Kipley and he.
Yeah, I know. I know what it was. Now, Tony Todd played Kern, which was Worf's brother in The Next Gen and Deep Space Nine. So it was funny because here we have Michelle and Kim at a booth, the two of them. Tony Todd's with Sid Haig and Kane Hodder, who is Jason. And Tony comes over to me and he's like, "Hey, Bobby," he says, "I got a huge favor." I said, "Yeah, what can I do for you, Tony?" And I'm thinking he needs me to go get something, do something, whatever. He says, "Can you bring me over and introduce me to Star Trek Continues?" I'm like, "Yeah," because he saw that Kim and Michelle and I became friends very, very immediately.
Right.
And he was like, "Would you bring me over and introduce?" And we did. We got in line for their autographs, and I said, "Ladies," I said, "just to introduce you. This is Tony Todd," and he was like starstruck. And they were looking at him like, their eyes were huge. It's like, oh my God, But it was really cool because even somebody involved with The Next Gen and Deep Space Nine is a recurring character.
And you know what? Yeah, and you know what? Tony Todd and I are buddies. He and I have done several Comic-Cons together. In fact, my favorite memory with Tony was he and I did Supernova in Melbourne and Brisbane one year. And Tony and I went to see a live stage performance of Driving Miss Daisy in Melbourne. He and I went together to see the play, and it was starring Angela Lansbury and James Earl Jones.
Wow.
And so Tony and I went downtown Melbourne to see this stage play, and he's a great guy.
Oh, Tony was awesome.
Yeah.
I met.
Are you going to tell him the rest of the story?
Yes, I'm getting there.
Okay. 'Cause
I've
I've heard this story. It's great.
Yeah, I went to a convention in New Hampshire many years ago, my days of youth, and I bought a Klingon book for a game that I was playing at the time, and Michael Dorn was the celebrity that was there. So I got in line. I got to talk with him for like 15 minutes. It was awesome. And so I gave him the book, and he autographed it for me, Worf, Michael Dorn. And then we were just shooting a bull for a few minutes. And it was, for somebody that big, I was expecting him to be intimidating as hell. But he was so warm and so friendly. It was awesome.
He is. Yes, very kind man.
So when I met Tony Todd, I told Tony that story. And Tony's looking at him and he says, "Well, do you know where that book is?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I know exactly where it is. It's a prized possession." He said, "Bring it in." He signed it, Kern, with it, Tony Todd, and then he put Sons of Moog underneath that. It's like, oh my God, that just became such a one of a kind. Only, there's only one in the world, a huge collectible, and all because. Tony Todd, I was in a great position to help out and, be a volunteer with this.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, he was just such a great guy too. I mean, the whole weekend.
Michael Dorn, again, all the Next Generation cast. I've done probably 24 conventions with the Next Gen cast and have become good friends with of course, Michael Dorn, but also Brent and Marina. In fact, when we needed a ship's computer, I asked Marina Sirtis if she would be the voice of the computer. And then when we did the Mirror episode where the computer was a male voice, I asked Michael Dorn. I went down to his apartment with my laptop and recorded his lines, and just wonderful people.
Yeah, that was cool. When I saw Marina Sirtis in convention, she was there with Jonathan Frakes. She was funny. She's up on stage and she goes, she made a joke out of it. She goes, you could see all the guys that are in the very first 3 or 4 rows. She goes, the reason for that is I always wear short skirts. And it was just so funny that she came out and said that. And it just set the pace for the rest of the day with her.
She's a pistol. She is a pistol.
She was great. So listen, the next 2 episodes are tied for me. They are my favorites. White Iris.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know where you came up with the story for that. It took me 6 times at least watching that before I could not get teary-eyed at the end of the show. That is just such a powerful and emotional episode. And I'll tell you, here's a little just me thing. Growing up, my 2 favorite non-regular characters in Star Trek were Dr. Noel from Dagger of the Mind. That woman is gorgeous. Yeah. And Miramani. Again, a beautiful actress. Yeah. Those were my 2 quote-unquote Star Trek girlfriends. And you cast Tiffany Brower. And she was more than passable for Miramani.
Oh, yeah. Everyone in that. Let me answer your question, where the story came from. One of our team members said something to me in a phone call, in passing almost, about you should do something about all of Kirk's women. You know, he has this stereotype, there's this stereotype about, Kirk hooking up with women all the time and being a womanizer. And he said that to me, and I thought to myself, I really never liked that characterization of Kirk. I felt like it wasn't fair. I think that Kirk was very lonely in command. Mm-hmm. I think he really wanted love. He was desperate to find love, and he would, latch on to somebody and throw himself into it pretty full on, and then something would happen. Like with Edith Keeler, she would have to die for history to continue as it was meant to. And Reyna turns out to be, an android, and Miramani is stoned, protecting him at the obelisk. So I took the germ of the idea, and it became more of a Kirk genuinely loved these women and lost them. And he must carry a lot of pain, a lot of guilt and shame around with him. And what if he started getting visited by the ghosts of these women, and there was some unfinished business that he needed to take care of, and his mind was not going to release him until he took care of those things.
But you even
that
went
was the premise of the whole episode.
But you even went further than that. You established we established 3 characters from the original series, but then you added another character from before Star Trek, from the Farragut. And this again hints at an original series episode where Kirk was a lieutenant and didn't fire the phasers on time and thought he killed because of his actions. He felt that he killed a majority of the crew, including the captain. And yet we see here there was also a girlfriend involved in that feeling, and it just kind of adds more almost understanding. It wasn't just somebody that he idolized in obsession that was on his mind that he was avenging. It was somebody that he cared about.
He had a relationship with somebody on that ship. And, I asked, I don't know if you looked into this, but that girl who played that role is Nakia Burrese. She was the original Yellow Ranger.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
She was a Power Ranger.
Okay.
And I had met her at some events, and I asked her if she would do it, and she said she'd love to. I thought her name was so beautiful by itself, just Nakia. I thought was such a great exotic name that we just named the character Nakia.
That's awesome.
And she did a wonderful job too. And then of course Adrienne Wilkinson played Edith Keeler. Adrienne Wilkinson from Xena.
Yeah.
She did an amazing job. But every time we needed to find somebody who looked like an original series character. It became a real challenge. We looked everywhere to try to find somebody that looked like Miramani or Reina, or Healer or Barbara Luna.
Yeah, that was the other one. You met her. Didn't you meet her in a grocery store?
A makeup store.
A makeup store. Okay.
Yeah, and she was just buying makeup. We were there buying some materials for the episode. Listen, you guys, again, this is the kind of divine providence that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It happened over and over again. We were at this place called Nigel's in Los Angeles that sells Hollywood television makeup supplies.
Okay.
And we were buying stuff for like Todd's goatee.
Yeah.
And different hair pieces and stuff. And I had already cast the role of Marlena.
Yep.
We had done a casting call in LA, and we couldn't find anybody that looked like Barbara Luna. Barbara Luna is this really unique blend of a Polynesian, the elements that make her so uniquely, have such a unique look. And we couldn't find anybody, so I cast someone to play the role that was about as close as we were going to get. And that person was learning their lines. I mean, it was a done deal.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Nigel's to buy this makeup, and I look across the store, and here's this woman standing at the counter paying for some makeup materials, and I nudged Lisa Hansel, the makeup supervisor who was there buying stuff for her department, and I was like, look. And she looked and she had the same reaction I did. It was like, oh my God.
Wow.
And I said, I have to talk to her, like, come with me so she doesn't, think I'm just some, creep approaching her. I'm a Hollywood director.
Yeah. Works for me.
Sure you are. You are.
Yeah,
right.
It works for me on the weekends.
Right. So we approached her. She walked out the door and we followed her out. And I told her about our series. And I told her there was a character that we were trying to match from the original series. And my first question to her was, are you an actress? Because it doesn't matter how much they look like the actor if they can't act.
Yeah.
If they looked exactly like the actor, you as the viewer would spend about 10 or 20 seconds going, oh my gosh, it looks just like the original. But then if they couldn't act, it wouldn't matter that they looked like the original. So my first question to her was, are you an actress? And she said, yeah, I am. And so she gave us her number, and we called her, and she agreed to do it. And then I had the unpleasant task of contacting the other girl and saying, I'm so very sorry, but we have to go a different direction with this character. I hope you understand. And that's how Asia DeMarcos became
Lieutenant Marlena Moreau. We're talking about the captain's woman from the Mirror episode. And she was very close and definitely could act. She was getting
Barbara Luna is a friend of mine as well. And when we released that episode, would you believe Luna would call me and email me, and she would say, would you believe I'm getting fan letters from people that are saying you haven't changed a bit? You look exactly the same as you did in the original episode.
That's something. Oh man, that's awesome that these original characters and actors are supporting what you're doing now.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be so heartbreaking to have them come back and say, well, that's not where that character should have gone, or anything negative, but they're not doing that. But White Iris, you had a Pete Easter egg that Pete is a huge fan, my producer, of Doctor Who.
Yep.
And you had Colin Baker in there, one of the Doctor Who's. And I made it a point when I saw that, I told Pete about that. I
So
said,
one of my friends that we worked in local TV together, she's now a filmmaker, and she is partners with a filmmaker who used to be a punk rock star in Great Britain, but he was friends with Colin Baker, and she's like, I got to meet Doctor Who, and I'm like, which one? And she told me, she's like, oh yeah, he hangs out over at Kevin's house all the time, and I'm like,
oh, I love it.
What? I'm like, holy cow. She's like, oh yeah, he's been over my house, and even weirder is she bought a trailer in Tampa, Florida, and the trailer was owned by an English actor who most people don't know, but played Darth Vader. He was the guy in the Darth Vader costume. Yeah, she bought his trailer when he got too old to keep going back and forth to the United States.
Wow.
She lives in his trailer. I'm like, you live in Darth Vader's trailer. She's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. What's the air conditioner sound like?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh,
it's like
man.
just so cool that we're all like huge sci-fi fans.
Yeah.
Yes.
And those these weird coincidences that pop up.
Well, and I had met Colin. Again, a lot of our guest stars, almost all of our guest stars, were people that I had met doing Comic-Cons.
Yeah.
They were people that I was there signing as a voice actor guest, and they were there signing for Doctor Who or Battlestar Galactica.
Yep.
That's how Jamie Bamber and I became friends, and we played golf together and in LA, and Lou Ferrigno. But not only did I know Colin Baker, but James Kerwin, who joined our series on episode 3 and became a producer and directed several of the episodes, he was a very big Doctor Who fan. And I think it was even his idea that we should reach out to Colin to play that role. And of course, Colin did a great job.
Oh, he nailed it.
As you may or may not realize, his companion showed up in our series finale as the Heavy in our series finale. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What these these guys don't understand is every morning when I do a sign-on song, because we share time with our local university. We go on their FM, and my sign-on music is Matt Smith's Doctor Who theme.
Oh, nice!
Every morning we sign on with that theme, and they're like, "What is that music?" And a couple of the hosts are asking me what it was, and I'm like, 10th Doctor's theme," and they're like, "What?"
Yep.
They had to go look it up.
Yeah, Nicola Bryant.
Yep.
Nicola Bryant was Colin Baker's companion.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure James, as I said, James was a big Doctor Who fan. I don't think I even knew her, but James knew her, and he was able to bring her in to play the big part of Lana in our 2-part finale.
She was incredible.
Very cool, yeah.
She was incredible. But getting back to Tiffany here, when you see her, feel free to share my number with her and have her call me.
Stop it.
Yeah, I mean, whoa. But anyway, so my second favorite episode was the next one, Divided We Stand.
Gosh, I love it.
I don't know what it is about that episode. It grabbed me and it never let me go.
Can I tell you about that one?
Sure, please. That's
let me tell you about that one while you're thinking of any questions you want to ask about that one. The way that story came about was I had always, as a little boy, loved my favorite Star Trek episodes were the ones where they went to some period in history. I always loved it when they had to put on gangster costumes or Roman Empire or the Depression or Nazi Germany, or, they did a lot of those historical episodes. So I was sitting around one day and I thought, what's a period of time they never went to? The Civil War.
Yeah.
And then I started doing a little more research, and I found out, as you might have guessed, Gene Roddenberry was a big Civil War buff. And then I found out that there was a guy that served in the Civil War on the Union side named James T. Kirk.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding you. He was from Pennsylvania. He was like a tailor, and he joined as an officer. And now, if that's not strange enough, guess what his dad's name was? George.
No kidding.
Captain James Kirk in Star Trek's father's name was George Kirk. Now, I kind of think that's a little too close for coincidence, which makes me wonder if that might be where Gene Roddenberry got the name in the first place.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I decided let's do, I wanted to do an episode where they went to a period in history. But then I was talking with Todd Haberkorn one day, who played Spock, and we were having lunch, and I was telling him the idea, but I told him, you know, McCoy is from Georgia, so McCoy probably would have been on the Confederacy, but Kirk would have probably been in the Union. So what if we took these two men who are close friends and we throw them into this situation where they're supposed to be enemies? But how do you get them into the Civil War? And I said to Todd, I don't want to do one of the old time travel. There are only a few, right? There are only a few ways you could do it.
Yeah.
And every time they did it, it was either time travel or it was an Earth parallel planet.
Mm-hmm.
There really weren't many options. And so I said to Todd, we need to come up with a different way to get them into the Civil War. And I got to give it to Todd. He was the one that came up with the idea of the nanites that infested the ship's computer. And while they were trying to flush them out of the ship's computer, there was an overload on one of the boards and it exploded. And the nanites got all over Kirk and McCoy inside them.
Yeah.
And it exploded at the exact moment they were downloading Earth history about the Battle of Antietam. So Kirk and McCoy are in comas, but in their minds, the nanites are projecting the image of the data they were downloading. And it was a perfect way to get them into the Civil War without actually being there.
Yeah.
And it had never been done before.
That was awesome.
So,
no, I did get the impression, and maybe wrong, I did get the impression that there was a Borg tie-in with those nanites.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
That was conscious.
Okay.
When they look through the microscope at one of the nanites,
yeah,
I told the guy that created it, I want it to look cube-like. I want it to be something that somebody might say, is this a precursor to the Borg?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just enough of a nod to it.
Yep.
And then, another wonderful thing about that episode, again, you guys, Providence. We were a fan production. We didn't have a lot of money. We could have never pulled off something of that scope, of that scale. So what we did was this. We found out that there was a Civil War reenactment that took place annually about 45 minutes from our studio.
No kidding.
It was called something Creek, Olustee. The Battle of Olustee Creek in Georgia. And it was in February. Now, you guys know what happens at reenactments. All of these reenactors come from all over the area, dressed in their perfect period uniforms, carrying their perfect period guns and canteens and tents and blankets. Everything is perfect, right? We could never have afforded to do something like this, but here's what we ended up doing. The Battle of Olustee Creek was, I'm going to pick some dates here for the sake of the story. The Battle of Olustee Creek was Saturday and Sunday, February 20 and 21. So what we did was we scheduled our shoot the week before that weekend. And we all went and we shot all of the stuff at the studio and like the close-up soldier stuff on location. During that week, we had a group of reenactors that actually came to our studio and they became our main background actors.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you see the shots of Kirk and Billy and there are people running in the background and firing, those were part of that group, and they all came to our studio. The campfire scene, that we shot that literally right outside the studio walls so that we could run lights out there, and we set up tents, built the campfire out there. The medical tent that they were in for a lot of the episode, we built that medical tent on our soundstage, and so we could light it, which is exactly what they would have done in the original series. And control it. And then when we finished shooting all of the principal photography, me and Chuck Huber, who played McCoy, and Scotty Whitehurst, who played Billy Palmerton, and our director of photography and our wardrobe supervisor, we all got in a van and drove to Olusty Creek that weekend and shot all kinds of B-roll of cannons firing and horses running and explosions and big, huge shots of hundreds of guys running across a battlefield, people in their tents making coffee, dogs sitting outside the tents.
Yeah, Daisy.
And we cut all of that footage in to the episode to make the episode much more grand than we could have ever made it.
Like I said, those are my two favorites, without a doubt. I did not see White Iris, the end of that. That's definitely, that was awesome. You did a great job with that.
Thank you.
And then Divided We Stand was just, it was an awesome Kirk story. You know, he was a big fan of Abraham Lincoln. We know that from the original series. And then in his mind to actually meet Lincoln was really cool.
Yes. And I tell you what, the writing on that story, you know, where Kirk, you know what happens to Kirk. The story, I don't want to give it away, but what McCoy says to him, and then he passes on to Drake at the end, who sacrifices part of himself to bring them back. Wonderful. Classic Star Trek.
Definitely that. And then from there, you moved into Come Not Between the Dragons, which was definitely thought-provoking at the very least. But then you brought in Gigi Edgley, and she was from, she played Taylor in that. She was from Farscape.
Yes.
And she was phenomenal in that role. That suit had to be a nightmare to wear.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. In fact, you know what? I will tell you, that story, Come Not Between the Dragons, was written by the amazing and wonderful Greg Dykstra, who works at Pixar.
He was actually the doctor in Divided We Stand.
He was Dr. Heath. In fact, there are so many great stories, you guys. We could do this forever. We met him when we were invited to screen episodes 3 and 4 at Pixar. They contacted us and they said, you have a lot of fans up here. Would you be willing to come up and screen an episode and do a Q&A? So we went up there and we met Greg Dykstra. And then Greg was such a fan that he wanted to come down and play a role in one of the episodes.
Yeah.
So we're like, absolutely. So he came down for episode 5 and played Dr. Heath. One evening while we were shooting episode 5, we were all at dinner. And Greg was sitting beside me at Longhorn Steakhouse. And he looks at me and he says, you ready for this? I'm not kidding you, Bobby. Here's another divine providence moment. In the back of my mind, I had wanted to do a creature episode. I didn't know what it would be. I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell anyone else that.
Yep.
I just knew that there were some things from the original series that I wanted to do. I wanted to do an episode that took place in another period in history. I wanted to do an episode with a creature, like the Gorn, or the Salt Monster, or the Horval. I didn't tell anybody that, Bobby. That was just something that I had wanted to do. So here we are eating dinner at Longhorn, And Greg Dykstra is sitting beside me, and he leans over and he says, I don't know if this is the right time to pitch you a story, but I have a story idea. And I'm like, sure, let's hear it. It's about a creature who breaks through the hull of the Enterprise.
Eusty.
I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, I need to stop you right there, because I've been wanting to do a creature episode, a guy in a suit, just like they would have done.
Yep.
I've been wanting to do one of those, and I've told no one that. So he told me the story. It was an amazing, wonderful, classic Star Trek story. And then not only did he write the story, but he also, his job at Pixar, he's a senior character sculptor.
Okay.
So he created Usti.
Wow.
He sculpted the creature. He created the creature, and then we found a company in Denver, Colorado called Distortions Unlimited, and they took the 12-inch model and they sculpted it out of clay at full scale and cast all of the foam latex pieces, and had to build a structure for it. There was a camera inside and there was a little camera lens right here in one of the craters of the creature's costume so that the guy inside could see where he was going.
Okay.
But the thing was so big and heavy that the first guy we took him out to Colorado to test the suit. And it was so heavy and so big, and his knees were bothering him.
Wow.
And so we were like, oh my gosh, this just may be, he's had this thing on for 2 minutes and he's struggling. It's going to be a lot worse on set.
Mm-hmm.
And so we reached out to Damien, who is just an awesome guy, an awesome friend, Damien Buer. And he's like, 6'6" and big, strong guy. And he agreed to do it. And he came down to the studio, and we had our own little Usti team. He had 3 or 4 people that worked with him to get the pieces on, to make sure he was okay in between takes.
Yep.
They were there with a stool for him to sit on, and they'd take the head off and he could rest. But it was a monstrous costume. And not only that, but they wired it with electrical so that his eyes would actually glow. And we had somebody offset who could change the color of his eyes, which would tell the mood that Usti was in.
That was cool.
It was an enormous structural undertaking.
Well, it definitely worked. Usti became a very believable character.
I agree.
It definitely worked. So
and
then
Gigi did such a wonderful job. Again, Gigi was somebody else that I had met at an event.
Yep.
And we needed a guest star, and we were looking for people that we could bring in from other properties. It didn't have to be Star Trek.
Yeah.
In fact, we specifically were looking for people like from Buck Rogers or Doctor Who or Battlestar or Star Wars or Buffy or Farscape.
Well, that brings us into the next episode, which was Embracing the Wind. And you bring in Aaron Gray from from Buck Rogers, playing Commodore Gray. So that worked out well.
Yeah.
Claire Kramer comes in as Garrett, one of the primary one-time characters. And what's funny is that I'm actually friends with Bo Billingsley. After Michelle and Kim came to Scaricon, I guess they talked or mentioned to Bo that I was the one that brought them in to Springfield. Bo sent me a friend request. At first, I thought it was a joke, and then I'm looking because I knew who he was by the name, and I'm like, damn, this really is him. And so he and I are friends on Facebook now, and he plays Admiral Stom, which was a Vulcan admiral.
Yes.
And that was it was a good episode. It was very unique. It touched on, again, a little potentially sensitive area. And but it gave you the view of that from the opposite direction.
Exactly. And if I may say, James Kerwin wrote that story and directed the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't know, that episode was shot and released right around election time in 2016.
Okay.
And so the issue that the story addressed was, certainly there was nothing wrong with a woman being president, or a woman being captain, or a woman being a commodore, but not just any woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you don't just do that just for the sake of doing it.
No.
And so we I should say, James, very carefully crafted that episode. And this is how you know what a great job he did crafting the episode. After we released it, we had people that wrote us and said, I can't believe that you would take the side of the woman in this story. And then other people would write and say, I can't believe you took the side of the man in this story. Like, it was classic Star Trek. It was right down the middle.
Yes, it was.
It gave you all of the information on both sides of an issue.
Yeah.
And then trusted you, the viewer, to be intelligent enough to make your own decision about what you thought.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was a very good episode, no doubt. And I guess that's just me as an individual. I don't go into a conversation or an evaluation of a person based on preconceived notions. I look at it as an individual, and it goes from there.
Right.
And I also don't, and sometimes this is a bad habit, I also don't take other people's opinions as Bible when I'm dealing with a new person. And, that's just me. So this episode fit perfectly with that for me. And it was kind of cool to see. But again, Aaron Gray.
And by the way, there was, as you remember, there was the A story, which was going on the Starbase.
Yes.
And the B story going on with the Hood. And that scene, there was a scene with Scotty and Uhura.
I was going to bring that up.
One of the most powerful moments. And I was standing by the camera yelling at them, giving them directions, because they didn't really need to say anything. It was really all in the face. I remember yelling at Chris Doohan. The camera was rolling and they're shaking the camera, right? And they're holding on to that hexagonal grate, shaking themselves a little bit. And I said to Chris, look into her eyes, Chris. Look at her. You brought her to this ship and she's about to die. You are responsible for this beautiful young woman about to die. And I, just talking them through it, trying to, build the emotion with them. And Chris did the most, Chris and Kim both did the most amazing job with that scene.
Well, they did. And, for me, and I dare say the absolute worst of the Star Trek movies was number 5. You see that there's a little bit of romantic tension between those two characters, a little moojie on the side, so to speak. That hinted at that. And for me, that tied that into the movies. And it was just a real simple thing that if you look at it as accepted canon, being the movie, established that these two characters, at least at some point, started having feelings for each other, and now we come back into a fan base. We're playing into that. We're seeing.
Well,
that.
I appreciate that you saw that, but I will be honest with you and tell you that I don't think that anyone had any thought about that when we were shooting that.
Well, I'll tell you what. Watch that.
But I love that you noticed that.
Watch that scene again, and you tell me that doesn't pop into your mind when you see it. Because it's showing, like I said, it's just playing on that whole potential, relationship tension that's between those two characters.
What I remember us trying to bring out of that moment was, Scotty looking at her and saying, I'm sorry, because he brought them over to this ship and they knew they were about to die. That ship was going to explode at any second. And they were looking into each other's eyes as if to say, this is the last image I'm ever going to see.
Yeah, but they actually, I think it's her. She puts her hand on top of his, or maybe it's the other way around. Sure. And so there's that intimacy implied between them in their own minds at that point only.
I'm glad that you caught that. I don't think that was something that we were going for at the time.
Yep. So from that, we got Still Treads the Shadow.
Oh my gosh.
Which,
one of the best.
now, I got to ask you, you played 3 different parts in that. Does that mean you get 3 paychecks?
No.
The makeup.
No, that means I get 1/3 of what I was getting.
Oh my God. Lisa did a phenomenal, I'm assuming it was Lisa that did the makeup.
Yes.
She did a phenomenal job on Old Kirk.
She did. And we, you know what? In the months leading up to that, we bought several different prosthetics and tried them out. And some of the original ones that we tried out just didn't look good. They didn't work out. And she kept looking, and she found some great stuff. The work that they did was phenomenal. Like, they absolutely did a phenomenal job.
They did.
The downside was that it took about 5 hours to put on. And because not only was it just the prosthetics, but I had to put a skull cap on first.
Oh.
Because the hair that he had was way back here.
Yeah.
You know, not like my hair. So it was a 5-hour makeup job and about 3 hours to take it off. One time I even slept in it.
Wow.
Because it took so long to put on that it took half the shooting day.
Yeah.
And it was very expensive, by the way. Those prosthetics, you can only use the way they make those prosthetic pieces. The ends of them taper off very, very paper thin.
Okay.
So you can blend them into the skin, but you won't. But as soon as you use them once,
they're gone.
That edge is gone. That edge is ripped. So we bought. I think we had 3 shooting days for Old Kirk, and we bought 2 sets of prosthetics.
Yeah.
So we put it on the first time, and then we used that one. Greg Dykstra was actually my double.
Oh, okay.
So whenever I was young Kirk, he would put on the prosthetic and the wig, and they'd shoot over his shoulder, or he would be at a distance, out of focus. And whenever I was young Kirk, he was Old Kirk, and then whenever I was Old Kirk, he was young Kirk. But the second time we put on the prosthetic, at the end of the day, we just took the wig off so that it wouldn't get messed up. And we all went to dinner, and I just wore the thing all night, went to sleep in it, and woke up the next day, and we were able to start shooting right away.
That's what I was going to ask you. How many times did you get senior citizen discounts at the 99 having your prosthetic on? But
I'd ordered a glass. There's an outtake in the blooper reel of that episode.
Yeah, there is.
Where we went to this place that we love to go called Wasabi, and I ordered a glass of wine, and I was drinking the wine through a straw because I couldn't open my mouth. Because I didn't want to get any wine or food on the prosthetic.
Sure.
So it was again such an enormous undertaking. It was really fun to redress the bridge.
Yeah.
As the Defiant, and then Rekha Sharma.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. Rekha comes in. She's playing Avi Samara.
Avi Samara.
She was in the remake of Battlestar Galactica, and then even closer to home, she played Landry in Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
And
and we had her first.
Yeah, you had her first. Hey.
We had already shot that episode, and we'd already shot that episode. And I'll never forget, she called me one afternoon, and she's like, "You're not going to believe this. I just got cast in Star Trek Discovery."
Well, see, that's your fault. You gave her a taste of what Star Trek Family was all about. And,
no, I don't know about that, but she was amazing. She did an amazing job, and she had such a great time.
That's all. She did a great.
One thing that I can say about all of our guest stars, and I say this to the credit of everybody on our team, every single one of our guest stars, every one of them, every single one that came down to our studio and was a guest star came to me after the fact and said, "Can you bring my character back? Like, can I come back?" I mean, Lou asked me, and I was like, "Lou, your ship blew up. Like, you're gone." He's like, well, maybe Zamenhof could have a brother. So we used to make jokes about it.
That's funny.
We used to make jokes about him coming back as Zabatron, or some twin brother. But Claire Kramer said the same thing. Gigi Edgley said the same thing.
Yeah.
Sharma said the same thing. When people came down to work on the show, they had such a good time. And everybody that worked on it was not only professional, but they were so friendly. And it was such a wonderful atmosphere. These are people that worked in Hollywood.
Yeah.
These are people that worked on professional sets. And they all came to me without exception and said, this is as efficient a set as I've ever been on. And in many cases, more efficient. And the people are nicer. And I love what you're doing here and would love to be a bigger part of it.
Well, you look at your next episode, What Ships Are For. You guys landed, I dare say, one of the biggest stars of Star Trek that you could have hit. Now, you know you made it when Mego makes an action figure of your character. And John Delancey played Q in Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and you got him to play Galisti in What Ships Are For.
Yes.
Then, if that's not enough, you brought in Anne Lockhart, who was Sheba in the original version of Battlestar Galactica, who, by the way, I had a huge crush on when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah, she's wonderful.
I think everybody did. And then Elizabeth Maxwell, who plays Shakara.
Yeah, and Elizabeth was a fellow voice actor that I knew, and she was just perfect.
Yep.
I had several people read for the role, and she was just wonderful. And then I'll tell you how John came on board. I knew John from doing a lot of convention appearances. He and I had the same convention manager.
Okay.
We had the same booking agent. And so John and I would ride to the airport together often, and we would talk at conventions. And when we first got this, I'll tell you how the story came about. So I was on the phone with James Kerwin one day. I was at the O'Hare Airport in Chicago. I'll never forget it. I was at the United Airlines Club, and James and I were talking about one of our episodes in post-production or something. And I said to James, we were talking about the first time we ever experienced Star Trek. And I told him that the first time I ever experienced Star Trek was on a 19-inch black and white television. And James said, well, a lot of people's first experience with Star Trek was in black and white. To which I said, wouldn't it be cool if we could come up with a story-driven reason for why the episode was in black and white? And James and I came up with this idea about a planet that had some kind of radiation shielding that blocked certain color spectrum, so that everybody on the planet only saw in monochrome.
Yeah.
And then we handed the story to Kipley, and Kipley wrote the most amazing script to that story. She added so many wonderful things of her own. I think it was one of our best scripts. It's probably one of our best standalone episodes. And then when we saw the characters and I started thinking about casting, my first thought was Bruce Boxleitner. I had just done an event with Bruce, and I thought, well, that would be cool to bring Bruce in to play Galisti. But then I thought of John. Mm-hmm. And I called John and I said, you know, the Star Trek thing that I'm doing, he knew about it. And I said, we've got a script here, and there's a character that you would really be wonderful for. And he said, well, send it to me. Send me the script. If it's a good script, I'll think seriously about it. And I'm not kidding you, Bobby. He called me back. I sent it to him immediately. And he probably called me back 2 hours later and said, this is a great story. This is a really great script. I would love to do this. And so, you know, we got these people locked in, and it was such a wonderful story, such an amazing story. Everybody, I think it was one of our best episodes. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, it was really good. And I liked how you transitioned from the black and white into the color. And, you know, obviously Kirk knew what was going to happen and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, yeah. And again, to be topical, Star Trek was topical.
Yeah.
Do you know what was going on at that time?
Yeah.
There was all of the talk about the border and immigration. And so we wrote that theme into the fact that the people on this planet were having a lot of their own problems, and they were very isolationist. They didn't want anybody from any neighboring worlds to be there. They were very obstinate about that. But what they didn't know, because they could only see in black and white, was that there were plenty of immigrants from a nearby planet that were already among them.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they were their loved ones.
Yep. They had no idea.
So it took on an even more powerful theme.
Oh yeah, Kipley definitely nailed that in writing that one.
She did.
And referring to Kipley as Kipley Brown, who played Smith, she actually wrote that episode, or had a huge part in the writing of the episode.
Yeah, she wrote the script, and we just handed her the story, and she wrote the script.
Yeah, that super talented woman.
Yes.
So from there, unfortunately, we go into the 2-part series finale.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be very vague with this because you got to see this. I'm telling you, 11 episodes, and they're full length. These are 50-minute episodes like the original series. These aren't 15 minutes with cardboard sets or any of that crap. This, you're going to swear they're on the original sets. They rebuilt Enterprise, and I can't stress that enough. But to boldly go, parts 1 and 2, you brought back a character that I think a lot of fans really loved, and that was the Romulan commander. And she was played by Joanne Linville in the original story. Amy Rydell plays the part. And just as Chris Dewitt is doing for Jimmy, Amy Rydell is Joanne's daughter. And she nailed that part. She looks like her mother. She's got the same body shape as her mother. I mean, she just did an awesome job with it. And then you got Cass Anvar, who comes in as Centek, who's one of the characters. Nicola Bryant, who's Lana, also a Doctor Who alumni.
Yeah, and Cass Anvar was doing The Expanse at the time, which is a great sci-fi series.
But I mean,
you know what? I want to give credit where credit is due. What did you just mention? You just mentioned somebody, and I wanted to make a point. Oh yeah, Amy Rydell. We looked everywhere for someone that looked like Joanne Linville, and we couldn't find anybody. I wasn't pleased yet with anyone. And Julian Higgins, whose name you would recognize because he directed a few of our episodes.
Okay.
He called me or texted me one day and said, did you know that Joanne Linville has a daughter? And I said, I did not. And he said, well, look her up online and maybe see if she's interested. And so I looked her up and I was like, wow, she kind of looks like her. So I texted her or met her, messaged her on Facebook. And she met me for lunch. And you know what she said? She said, my mom and I have talked for years about how cool it would be for someone to bring back the Romulan commander. And she agreed to do it. And so the very fact that she was Joanne's daughter was cool enough. And that she looked a little bit like her was pretty cool as well. But the day she walked out of makeup on set, and that was the first time that we had seen her in the full Romulan makeup and hair and uniform, everybody's jaws just hit the ground.
Oh yeah, she was awesome.
Amy sent a picture of herself to her brother, and her brother wrote back and said, where did you get that picture of Mom? I've never seen that picture.
Wow. Again, we can't really talk about much of the episode, but I did notice one thing that I thought was really cool is that there's a Romulan bird of prey that's a part of this. That's the Romulan commander's new flagship. And you guys actually, through tractor beams, join the Romulan ship to the Enterprise to achieve a greater speed to enable you to finish a mission. Now, Did you guys get that? Is that a little bit of a steal from the animated series? Because they did that with a Klingon D7 with the Enterprise.
Did they really? I don't know that. You know what? The amazing sci-fi author Robert Sawyer wrote those episodes. James Kerwin and Rob and I kind of participated on the basic story premises and kind of the main points that we wanted to hit. And then Rob wrote the script. And then James and I contributed a little bit as well. But I don't know. I'm not terribly familiar with the with the animated series. I don't know where they got that idea, but it was a pretty cool idea. And it allowed us to incorporate the motion picture warp effect.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Well, I can tell you that it was one thing to see it in a cartoon. It was a whole different thing to see it, especially when you got the ship, when you're looking at the top of the primary hull, and all of a sudden you got this shadow.
Yes!
Oh my God,
yes!
that was freaking awesome.
And you know what? I got to give kudos right now to Mark Bell. You guys, Mark Bell was our special effects supervisor.
Yep.
Doug Drexler was our special effects supervisor at the beginning of our series, but then he got on to some TV show and he didn't have the time anymore. And once again, as Providence would have it, at exactly the time when he was not, when Doug had to step away, here comes this guy from Ireland named Mark Bell, and he says, "I love Star Trek Continues. I'm a special effects CGI guy. If you ever need any help with anything, let me know." I threw him a couple of shots like, "Here, make this intercom light up. And here, make this red wave go through the ship."
Yep.
When his dad sent the red wave through the ship. And then Doug had to leave, and I called Mark Bell, and I said, "You don't by any chance have a model of the Enterprise, do you?" And not only did he have a model of the Enterprise, but he had hundreds of photos that had just been posted of the restored model at the Smithsonian. And we're talking about super, super close-up details.
Yeah.
And he made that ship look, I mean, down to the nuts and bolts and screws. It was perfect. And from 6 on, he did, Mark Bell was our special effects supervisor, and he did all of those amazing effects. So many. He was fantastic.
Yeah, that was
absolutely fantastic.
The CGI in the series is just incredible, no doubt. But even from the animated, again, the Halifax in the two-parter was the same design ship as the cargo couriers in the animated series. And I was like, okay, that's cool. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You got something, you're using it, and you're making it look awesome, which for me was really cool.
Yes, and you know what? We actually used, I don't know if you were going to say anything about this, but the galactic barrier.
Yep.
Like, how do you do that effect? Well, we did it exactly the way they did it. It was something called a smoke tank.
Okay.
And Mark Bell handled all of that, and it looked so amazing. I mean, everything he did just was top notch. He's just the best there is. Mark is just the best there is.
Well, I'll tell you, it definitely shows. All you got to do is watch.
And speaking of special effects, one of the final scenes in the second episode, in our final episode, where Kirk is addressing the crew.
Yes.
Well, that's an auditorium at Starfleet.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
That had to be created. And so guess who built that room in a CGI room that we used? We shot that whole scene on green screen. And John Knoll, who is one of the chief creative officers at ILM, who also wrote Rogue One.
Oh, okay.
Who also created Photoshop with his brother. I mean, we're talking about the best of the best here.
Mm-hmm.
ILM had invited us to screen some episodes at their theater on their campus. And so we met some of these wonderful artisans and technicians from ILM. And it was right at the time that we were working on our final 2 episodes. And I said something to John about, I need an auditorium at Starfleet. And I've got somebody working on something and it's not working out. Do you think you could take a shot at it?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, sure, send me the shots and I'll see if I can come up with something. John Knoll.
No.
I mean, what a greater thrill, and how any more humbling to have one of the chief creative officers at ILM create a CGI room for your series.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, that was really cool. I did like seeing you in the motion picture uniform. I thought that was pretty cool. A transition, kind of beginning the 24 months of refit of Enterprise.
Yeah.
And that I did think it was a fitting end. I thought you tied up a lot of loose ends that were kind of left hanging. And,
that was the goal.
Yep, definitely. And I think you definitely did that. One thing I did want to mention, kind of a somber note, I do want to offer my condolences on the passing of Grant, who played Sulu in the series. He was an incredible actor, and I dare say he's going to be missed for years to come.
He was an incredible actor, but let me tell you guys something. He was even more of an incredible human being. He was one of the kindest, most eager to help, wonderful, wonderful guys. I met him at Dragon Con one year, and he and Carrie from Mythbusters and myself judged the cosplay contest, the masquerade contest one year.
Yep.
So we're sitting at the judges table and having a great time. And we became friends. And then a couple of years later, I saw him at a party and he asked me what I was up to. And I said, I showed him some pictures of our sets. And he was like, oh my gosh, I love the original Star Trek. Sulu was one of my favorites. And it suddenly just light bulb went off. I'm like,
clicked.
I don't even have a Sulu cast yet.
Yeah.
So he was willing to do it. And he was always there, always helpful, working on different technical things that needed help. If some wiring went out or something went bad, he was right there. Always such a great spirit. Such a great spirit.
He definitely played that part.
I'm so sorry. Can you excuse me 1 second?
Sure.
All right.
So, Pete, what do we have for time left? I definitely got to be over. You
have 13 minutes that you can go till 3-hour mark, and I just rescheduled my doctor's appointment. I got a 4:15. so I was supposed to be there in 10 minutes. So.
Oh my God! I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No, it worked out actually.
So I've got 15 minutes left. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, to get you to the 3-hour mark, you have 15 minutes left.
And we can't go over that.
No, you actually can this week.
I can.
Yes.
All right.
Because the superintendent doesn't start until next week.
All right. So then I won't worry about it.
Yes. So he's probably rescheduling something too.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. He ran away with an urgent look in his eye. I'm not sure what that means.
Do you want to take a break and we'll come back?
Music break? I don't want to leave him hanging, but we should do something. So
I can talk to him on the talkback if we.
All right. Why don't we do up Rocket Man because it's the shortest of the songs.
Sorry about that.
Oh, here he is. He's back.
Okay.
So sorry. My housekeeper was here. And she was trying to leave, and she couldn't get out.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I got the same problem here in the studio.
She's tapping on the door, and I'm like...
Well, okay. So we got... all right, so we were talking about Sulu, and again, I think that he played that character perfectly. But, some other questions that I had for you, Vic. Not about necessarily episodes, but just general.
Sure.
What were some of the non-financial problems with recreating the Starship Enterprise for you?
Non-financial?
Yeah, because, money's always going to be an issue. But, did you find, creating a bridge was a real pain in the tuchus? Or was, because I know you didn't make, engineering. You didn't build that set till later. And then you had the planetary set that you built for the end.
Right, which no one had ever done.
No
fan production had ever built engineering until we did. And no one has ever built an interior planet set. No fan production has ever tried to pull that off. The as far as non-financial problems, engineering was probably the hardest one to build because it's just so mammoth.
It's huge.
It's 2 stories high, and that the big core, it goes off in the distance, and we literally cut a hole in the ceiling so that we could raise it up to the height it needed to be. I think just let me think about it. You know, the interesting problem solving challenge for something like this is that when you're trying to recreate something that was made 50 years ago, and it was made from things that were common back then,
yeah,
but no longer are.
Yep.
For instance, the little rocker switches that are at all of the stations.
Yeah, you can't get those.
Rocker switches. That technology is long gone, and if you can find it, it's going to cost you a pretty penny.
Yeah.
And they were all over the ship.
Yep.
So you know, you can't blow tons of money doing, you know, just buying rocker switches. You have to problem solve that. So we made a resin casting of one set, and a lot of them weren't functional. They looked great for television, which is all they needed to do.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of situations like that. For instance, the transporter pads I mentioned at the beginning of our interview.
Yep.
Those were glass lenses. They were Fresnel movie lenses. And they were a couple of $1,000s each. I mean, they still exist. You can imagine if you're a movie theater, a movie studio, or a TV studio in Los Angeles, you've got plenty of those laying around. You've got plenty of movie lights all over the place. But we didn't. We were a fan production. But here we are building the transporter room, and there are 6 of these pads around the transporter platform. Well, we certainly couldn't afford to buy, you know, to spend $12,000 or $18,000 on these glass lenses just so they could be accurate. They just need to look right. So I borrowed one. I borrowed a real one from a friend of mine in LA who worked at a studio. He let me borrow one, and we made a resin cast of it, like a silicone. We made a silicone mold. We made a silicone mold of it, and then we poured clear resin and made our own copies of the lenses. And they're not, you know, $3,000 glass Fresnel lenses, but they look exactly like the originals.
And it was probably stronger than the original too.
Yeah, and and you know what else? That kind of thing happened a lot, where there were things that were very common back then that don't exist anymore, and we had to figure out how to problem solve, you know, those kind of things.
Yeah. So now, how about did you guys ever receive any flack from either CBS or Paramount from the series itself? They never gave you a hard time?
Flack? No, we never received any flack at all. In fact, our correspondences with CBS were always very good. They would ask us, like, for instance, they would call us and say, hey, what you guys are doing is really amazing. Like, there are plenty of, now this was a quote, there are plenty of fan productions out there, but none of them could ever be mistaken for the original series.
Yeah.
But yours could.
Nice.
They told us that. And they also said, hey, you know that disclaimer at the bottom of your website that says you're not affiliated with us? We'd like you to move that to the top of the website. And I said, absolutely, you got it. And then they said, on your banner on your website, we would like you to change the font and not use the original Star Trek font. It's okay on the episodes that you've done, but on your website, you know, would you use a different font? To which, of course, we said, you got it. Anything they asked of us, we did, and we did it very quickly. And in fact, on our social media, we have had a policy in place since the very beginning: no bashing CBS. If you're not a fan of Discovery, that's fine, but don't bash CBS here. If you're not a fan of J.J. Abrams movies, That's fine, but no bashing here. This is not a place to be bashing Star Trek.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing to do. So, I mean, I know the production of Axanar kind of screwed the pooch for everybody, and that's when CBS started really clamping down. But it didn't seem like that really was held over your head, probably because of the quality of what you were producing.
Actually, it was. That's why we ended our series at 11 episodes.
Okay.
After that whole debacle started, CBS contacted me and they said, we know that you were planning to finish the original series. How many episodes were you planning to do? And I said, well, maybe 15, maybe 13.
Yeah.
And they said, no, not, try to finish as fast as you can. Not 13. And by the way, when this phone call took place, we were on episode 8.
Oh, wow.
Our last year, Bobby, which is unheard of in fan productions, much less at the quality level we did it at, we shot and produced 4 episodes. 9, 10, 11, and 12, excuse me, 8, 9, 10, and 11, all in that last year. CBS graciously allowed us. They didn't tell us you're done.
Yeah.
Don't shoot anything else. Don't release anything else. What they told us was wrap it up as quick as you can.
Yeah.
And so we kicked into high gear and finished as quick as we could. We were only able to get 11 done, and that was in large part to the fallout from what happened.
Yeah.
But at least we were able to finish the original series of Star Trek.
Yeah, that was like I said, that was awesome. I can't say enough about this series.
Thank you.
But now, having met before this interview, having met 2 of your co-stars, Michelle and Kim, it seems to me, and this was the impression that I got from spending a weekend with them at Scaricon, it seems to me that you guys developed and quickly became a family in and of yourself. And hearing you talk about the series, that wasn't just the actors. That was all the people behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing I did really like is that, and we've talked about Lisa a couple of times, who does she's a makeup supervisor or whatever her actual title was. She's had parts in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, you guys gave her a black wig, and I was like, wow, who's that? And then I realized it was Lisa, and I was like, oh my God, looks totally different. But
yeah, we looked for a lot of opportunities to get our people that were behind the camera in front of the camera. In fact, in the final scene where Kirk addresses the crew,
yep,
that whole audience full of people is the same 35 people over and over and over again in different sequence, sitting beside somebody different. We'd have them all sit in the first 3 rows, and then we'd shoot a little bit of footage, and I'd talk them through what I wanted them to do, and then they would move back 3 rows and sit by somebody different and mix it up a little bit. But all of those people were our crew people in many cases.
Nice.
Wardrobe, makeup, props, camera department, lighting. Could be anybody.
So, but was it as hard as it to me, it obviously must have been to say goodbye after filming the 11 episodes after that had been concluded? And the other thing is, do you still keep in touch with any of them?
Yes. And yes, it was very hard. It was very, very hard. It's one of those things where I think we came to realize how special it was while we were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that the original cast can't say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The original series cast back in the 60s had no idea that what they were doing at the time was going to be so long lasting and have the impact on the world that it has. But I think after we got 4 or 5 or 6 episodes in, we all realized that what we were doing was really special.
You guys recaptured lightning in a bottle.
I would like to think so. And I give full credit to everybody that was a part of it. I am so grateful and so humbled that 50 years from now, when many of us are long gone, these episodes will still be here for people to enjoy.
Yeah.
To finish the original series of Star Trek and bridge that gap between the original series cancellation and the motion picture.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many Easter eggs in this series. Was this a conscious attempt by you guys to give back something to the diehard fans?
Absolutely. Most everybody on the series was a fan as well.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of them, maybe, and certainly not all of them to as great a degree as some others. But there were enough actual fans, serious fans on the set, behind the camera and in front, who would pay very, very close attention and look for cool things to do.
Mm-hmm.
James Kerwin came up with a lot of those great little Easter eggs, and Larry Nemechek and myself and I'm sure plenty of other people. Ralph Miller, we haven't talked at all about Ralph, who was our sound supervisor. He was just brilliant. He knows so much about Star Trek sounds and did such an amazing job. So many good people.
Nice. So before we keep going with the questions, I know you have an appointment.
I do.
You keep an eye on the clock and you tell me when you need to wrap up.
Well, I mean, I have an appointment in 19 minutes.
Oh, so we need to wrap up. Okay, because I know I'm looking at the clock here too, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, we must.
Yeah, we started at noon, and it's been an hour 40 already.
Yep.
I would love to talk with you some more though, because there are so many great stories and so much heart in every episode that we did. I would love to get the chance to talk with you some more.
I'll tell you, I would definitely relish that.
How about a crew reunion? Do it over Zoom.
Oh.
Well, a lot of our crew have gone their own ways. They're all doing different things now, and but I would be remiss not to tell you and all of your viewers and listeners that the sets are still standing right where we built them, and they're as beautiful as ever in their perfect condition. They were taken over by Neutral Zone Studios, and you can go to neutralzonestudios.com and you can see dates where we open the sets up one weekend a month for people to walk through them and take pictures and sit in the captain's chair and step up on the transporter platform, walk through the briefing room, sick bay,
road trip.
So I've already volunteered to road trip for this.
It's a piece of cake, you guys. It's a piece of cake. You fly into Jacksonville, Florida, and you drive 25 minutes right up 95 to Kingsland, Georgia, right across the state line. But go to neutralzonestudios.com for all the details.
We'll have to check that out. Hey, one last thing I want to ask you about. You're going to be in Massachusetts in a few weeks. Where are you going to be? Where can fans come and see you?
I've got several events coming up, by the way. You can follow me on Twitter at Vic Mignogna. Okay. Hashtag my name, Vic Mignogna.
Yep.
And then also Star Trek Continues official Facebook page. But I'm going to be, let me look. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be at the studio, by the way.
Okay.
In 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be at the studio, walking people through, telling them about it. Then I'm going to be in San Diego the following weekend. Then the weekend of September 25th, 26th, I'm going to be at Big Apple Comic-Con in New York. Then I'll be doing a signing outside Los Angeles the next weekend. Then I'll be doing a signing in the 9th and 10th that weekend in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Then I'm going to be at DeadCon in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And then there's another open house. And let's see, where is that? Then I'm going to be in Atlanta. Then I'm going to be in Seattle. Then I'm going to be in Rogers, Arkansas. And then November 20th and 21st in Framingham, I'm going to be, I believe the show is called Collector Fest. That's what it was called when I did it in New Jersey, and it's being run by the same people. And I will be announcing that on my Twitter as well. And it will probably be on our Star Trek Facebook page as well. So please come out and say hello.
What kind of, now when you go to a Collector Fest sort of an event like that, what kind of free time do you have where you're not stuck to a booth?
Well, I don't have much free time, thank God. I usually have a pretty good turnout of fans, and I'm at the table most of the time through the day. I may have, there may be time, obviously, in the evening. We have dinner and unwind a little bit, but the days are usually, thank God, knock on wood, pretty busy with fans.
Okay. Well, what I was thinking was that if we can make it out there, I'd love to take you out for a beer. And,
I'd love it.
Just sit down and chat and, hang out.
I'll have a glass of wine through a straw.
That works too. That works too. And you'll get us the senior citizen discount.
Yes.
So we'll be good with that. So, hey, I've got one thing to show you. Now, you and I, Pete, do you still have that picture? Is that convenient? If not, no big deal. You and I, now you're a few years older than me, but we both grew up playing Star Trek with our friends. We had the uniforms. We had all that. Do you remember back when we were kids, AMT had the model, the licensing for the models. They had a mail-in for a windbreaker. Did you ever see those?
I don't think I did. Oh my gosh.
This is my windbreaker from when I was a kid.
Oh my gosh.
It is literally 50 years old.
Oh my
and it is in mint condition. This is my
pride.
I
don't think I've ever even known that was a thing.
Yeah. AMT, this was when you bought the model kit, you got the instruction sheet.
Yeah.
This was a thing that you cut the coupon out and you sent in however much it was.
Wow.
My dad used to get me the model kits and build them. And my parents got me this.
I love that you still have it, and it looks beautiful.
It's brand new. Even the silver on the emblem is still right there. But,
that's amazing. And I saw your tricorder and your.
Well, the tricorder is just that's just store bought.
No, but I was noticing on your counter there. I saw the. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. See, I have a funny story about that rifle as well. I have a funny story about that from episode 6. But I see all your goodies there, and your cube and the Saurian brandy bottle, nice.
This was the phaser rifle I was telling you about. This was supposed to be the TOS version. That was I only saw it used once in a fan movie, but it actually lights up.
Nice.
And you can't really see it lighting up in this light, but
beautiful.
The Type 1 phaser is just Velcroed into the top.
Nice.
And Triple Fiction Productions out of Florida.
Very cool.
I bought so many items from them.
I'll have to look them up. I'll definitely have to look them up. All right, that was his meeting reminder going off on his phone.
Oh, that was his meeting reminder. Okay.
Yes.
So we're gonna wrap. We'll wrap up. I want to make sure you get to your appointment. I don't want to leave a bad taste in your mouth. But I can't thank you enough for for taking this much time and sitting down and chatting. And
my sincere pleasure. Everybody that worked on this series is so near and dear to me, and what we created, I'm so proud of, and it's always a pleasure to talk to people who've enjoyed it.
We'll have to have you back on because I still had 3 more pages of questions.
Oh yeah, we should let's definitely do it again. And I promise not to be in my baseball gear.
No, I don't care. Hey, something would be really cool if we could pull this off. If we end up going down to Georgia, it would be on a weekend that you're there. But it'd be really cool as if we could actually film an episode there live.
Oh my gosh, do it. Okay, listen. There's one coming up in 2 weeks in September, and I'll be there again in October. And then I'll be there in December and January. Look at Neutral Zone Studios for those dates, and let's make plans to do that.
Yeah, we'll figure that out because that would be, again, a fellow geek, a dream come true to be able to walk around and explore the Enterprise.
Yeah, dude, it's like nothing you will ever experience in your life.
Hang out with you for an afternoon, and I can't think of a better thing to do.
Yeah,
that would be phenomenal.
would love it.
So, all right, listen, Vic, again, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Please keep in touch. You got my number. Keep in touch.
Guys. You do the same. Thank you. Live long and prosper to you guys.
You too, my friend.
And I'll look forward to picking up those 3 pages, maybe down on the set someday soon.
That's what we'll do. All right, brother. Thank you so much.
Take care, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye now. All right, so that was Vic Mignogna from Star Trek Continues, the famous Captain Kirk. And I'll tell you, I'm so stoked. I'm going to go home and have some of this Saurian brandy and just to try and key down a little bit. Honestly, I'm floored.
Pretty cool.
I'm sorry that you were kind of sitting there with not really much.
You know what I was doing while listening to the two of you?
You were looking
I
at
got
porn.
on and I looked at some of the episodes. And like he said, when the first one came up, I was like, oh, crap, this is the original. I picked up the wrong thing. But then when I looked closer and realized, no, it wasn't, I was like, holy crap. And he even looks like the young Kirk.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Vic did it well.
Amazing.
The makeup. And it's, you know what's funny is that, and he and I, we were talking about this yesterday when we were on the phone. He's 5 years older than me.
He doesn't look.
He looks 20 years younger.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
And we were laughing, and he says, "Oh yeah, not without the makeup." I said, "Well, then Lisa's well paid. Lisa's very good at what she does, then, or something to that effect." And he was laughing.
But he even walks like the young Kirk did. His mannerisms were the same.
Yeah.
I mean, if you looked at that really quick and weren't really paying like serious attention, you would have sworn you were looking at an old episode.
They did homage, and they did it right.
They did.
And whether it was the CGI effects,
cool.
It's kind of like, it's similar to when George Lucas came back out with Star Wars and they took away the models and they put in the CGI and he said, this is the way it was always meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now with the CGI, looking at the Enterprise and the space battles or whatever it is, it's phenomenal. I mean, it is the way that it was meant to be.
So impressive.
And,
Now, my question is, I found all the episodes on YouTube.
Yeah, they're on YouTube and StarTrekContinues.com.
Okay, so those are the only 2 ways to watch them. They're not like on Netflix.
No.
It's
it's all fanfare. It's
I wasn't
free.
sure. I wasn't sure, but I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm watching.
Because if you put them on a platform like that, that's where CBS would have a problem with it.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha. But I'm good with YouTube. I'm going to watch them tonight. Those were cool.
Watch them in order.
I watched a whole bunch of them on my own, different here and there, because I
Yeah.
stumbled across them a couple of years ago,
Very
too.
cool.
But I'm going to try to watch the whole series over again.
Me too.
They are phenomenal. Watch them in order because the character development is really the driving factor about a lot of these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to the final 2, that character development comes to a head.
Okay.
And you don't want to. It's kind of like reading the end of the book before you get to the end of it.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd watch them out of order anyway.
Yeah, watch them in order. They don't refer to each other. They're standalone episodes, but they do refer sometimes quite strongly to the original series.
That's cool.
And like we were talking about White Iris, there's several characters that were from the original series that are portrayed in that episode. You got, like I said, the initial episode, Pilgrim of Eternity, Michael Forrest, who played Apollo in the original series. He comes back and reprises his old role.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
Gotta watch that.
They just did a great job with it. Well worth the watch. Only 11 episodes, and you can crank right through them. You can binge watch that.
But that's like 11 hours of, you don't move from the recliner till it's over.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much that. But hey, check it out. Like I said,
definitely,
and hopefully you enjoy it. Pete, we definitely got to give some thought. Maybe after the new year, going down there and visiting the sets and taping a show down there.
That's fine with me. I just already told you I'm in.
Yeah, I think that would be an awesome thing to do.
That would be huge for me, knowing that my father was such a huge fan, and he was the one that turned me on to it.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be like. I can't even explain.
We would definitely have to get some sort of costume shirts and stuff for that.
Yeah.
That would definitely be a once in a lifetime thing. So I know that was an extremely long talk segment. I think it was like an hour and a half of us just droning back and forth.
Oh, at least, yeah.
I hope that you guys
kept me interested.
I hope it was interesting.
That's why I threw in questions where I had questions.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping you would.
Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely no, you didn't at all. I had 5 pages written. and I only got through 3 of them.
Oh,
But
God.
I also didn't plan on getting into the individual episodes. But I knew from talking to Vic yesterday that there were so many stories, behind the scenes, little nuggets that make it, instead of just being, oh, okay, it's an episode.
Right.
No, it's special. There's actually something going on here.
And he's so passionate about it. That was a big part of. I mean, I don't think I said 2 words the whole time, but
No, it was nice.
So
Oh, did I say that out loud?
it was so fascinating to watch his passion and his excitement. I mean, this project's probably a couple of years old now.
Oh, easily. It's years old.
But to him to still be that way,
and to remember the detail that he remembered.
yes, and all the stories and the people, yeah, he is definitely worth listening to, I think so.
Oh yeah,
That was cool, very cool.
Yeah, this was huge for me to be able to land him as an interview.
Yeah.
I got to talk to him now. I want to have him do us you're listening to my friends.
A bumper?
Bumper, is that what they call it?
All right, let's wrap it up because I still have a doctor's appointment.
Pete has a doctor's appointment, so we're going to wrap this up. Listen, I want to thank everybody, as always, for tuning into the radio show today. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did, bringing it to you. And Lynn's still playing with the tribbles. But we'll be back again next week. I expect it to be live next week. And who knows who we'll have for a guest then. I mean, we may have guests coming on for the next 6 months. Who knows? Maybe you'll be one of them. But please be safe. Enjoy the weather out there, even though my wife had Sky One landed today, grounded this week.
Had to be washed.
Had to be washed.
Waxed.
Yeah, washed and waxed, detailed. But we'll be back here again with you next week without all the Star Trek paraphernalia, I think. Maybe a few. But tune in, and I hope you guys enjoyed the thing with Vic, the interview. With that in mind, I'm going to leave you with a very long yet special song. This one here, it just fits. And this one here is Grand Funk Railroad. And we're going to end the show with I'm Your Captain. You've been listening to Bobby G and Company right here on WSKB. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know I did. I loved it. I know, Lynn and Pete.
That was awesome.
Be safe. We'll see you again next week.
This is a take.